But KP, there's something wrong with this draft. I don't know if you smell it, but
Wait.
I don't smell any water. That's not
Yeah,
the fresh sea
fishy.
breeze that I usually get from these drafts. There's coastal cliffs, but it's all the way far down. You need a paragliding situation to go down there. Nobody has that in Age of Empires. We're in the medieval times. This is not the time for paragliding, but it is time for Gorge and a lot of land. Ladies and gentlemen, these guys have brought you the most exquisite map draft of the tournament. So welcome to Age of Land.
I don't like that draft.
Oh, why not?
Does it feel like a good trade to give Marlene for Lancaster? I mean, well, he split Japan biz, right? But Lancaster's the busted civ.
And Zushi?
This is a really good draft start for MarineLorD. I mean, VortiX is cooking. He's got to be with the Marlene pick. We haven't seen what his front range pick is yet. MarineLorD has a little bit of versatility there, but there's still a lot of draft to go. Things at this point like Ibids, HRE, Ottomans are really nice. They shoe into a lot of these maps. Wouldn't even be surprised to see an English priority because there's a certain map in the pool that the other day on stream made me want to rip my hair out that English are quite good on.
Now, with all of these in front of us, I do want to just point out, Kate. Oh, I almost called you KT. KP. No. Different letter on the keyboard. Got it. We don't have KT, and I love this because obviously there's no water map. But there's been a lot of people complaining about the fact that KT is actually viable elsewhere. And honestly, that has been on my question card because we haven't had KT used on other maps. But I would love to see if one of these players could tell us about a bit of viability of the civilization in their draft. Wouldn't be a high priority pick though, and we're finally seeing civs that don't play water. So we're finally getting a little bit of French action as well. Loving that. But the priority is quite interesting to me here, because you can see I like VortiX's draft so far. I'm a big fan. But I know MarineLorD is MarineLorD, so it is what it is. He's got home serve now.
There it is. There's your Knights Templar. It's so it's interesting actually. There's two maps here where it can be viable. Would you like to pick those maps out?
No. I would like to be taught. Thank you very much, good sir.
Well, the more obvious one I think is Frisian, right? Like you can imagine Frisian is like, oh, there's ponds, get fish.
Okay.
Great map. The other one that's interesting actually is Front. I've only seen one player experiment with it, and that was Numadon. But the concept of pilgrimages is pretty good on that map because of the cliff lines that cuts half the map out. So the other thing that is really hilarious is, you haven't seen Front Range yet, have you? So you see on the north side of the Stealth Forest, from the TC to the Sacred Site, there's wolves everywhere. And if a wolf hits a pilgrim, he runs faster. So you get this weird efficiency of like getting out of the danger zone. And it's all stealth. So I don't know if MarineLorD is a fan of that. Like the more obvious one is definitely Frisian. But overall, like draft-wise, I think VortiX has some interesting picks. Like he's definitely leaning into what you'd expect out of him. He's a tempo aggressive player. And when I see picks like Mongols, Ibids, Delhi, Ottomans, that screams tempo aggro.
Yeah, I mean, with VortiX's draft, you usually wouldn't see this on a player and be like, oh my goodness, he's got the draft, guys. You look at MarineLorD, you're like, Lancaster, HRE, Zushi? That Byzantine, obviously Byzantines because it's not banned against him. But I feel like VortiX's draft just fits him so well and what we've seen out of his gameplay. But MarineLorD, this man, he knows when to boom, he knows when to attack, and I absolutely love this for him. Him getting both JD and French, we've seen him play those civs on Frisian as well. And the fact that he's got all these civs available, I feel like he's got a lot more choices on maps compared to what VortiX may have. So when it comes to counter-picking, a lot of players, they already have an idea, okay, I'm playing Gorge, only this and this civ is viable. But based off of this, MarineLorD has a lot of choices, and VortiX is the one who's going to be blind picking into a lot of these.
Yeah, but there is elements to it. Like MarineLorD probably doesn't want to punt French and Jean out unless he's sure Ibids isn't coming out on that particular map. It's not impossible to beat Ibids, but there's this weird kind of approach where you take more of a hunker down approach rather than brute force them, because French Knights against Desert Raiders is a depressing existence, especially if you add in dervishes. But outside that, opening game, trying to think what's safest. Like VortiX Delhi could make a lot of sense here. Like doesn't have insane robustness in this draft. You mainly think about it for Dry Arabia. Situationally, we've seen it sometimes on Altai and Borderland. But you definitely wouldn't run Delhi on front range. Coastal actually was a classic for it, but I feel like in recent times people don't do it as much anymore. And then I've seen 1 or 2 Frisian Delhi picks. It's very wacky and out there. The other possibilities, like this is the nice thing about Gorge, is it's a very unpredictable map when you look at these drafts. Like, think about what VortiX could pick here. Bruce, Mali, Delhi, Ibits, Japan.
Yeah.
MarineLorD, you could imagine Lancaster, Shushi, HRE, French, John, Byzantines, right? There's not much that wouldn't work.
Now, between these two, we know that the action will definitely take place. Doesn't matter which way this goes, they're going to force mistakes out of one another because VortiX, very aggressive. MarineLorD, I would say known as less aggressive, but when he needs to, he does it. And I saw that there are some questions about the draft, and I just want to take a quick second before we get the civs revealed to us. We both see both players ban China first. So in this draft, it works specifically that you get your first ban, then you get to pick a civ, and you get to pick an OP civ. That's usually allowing one OP civ through. Both of them saying China is the problem. I'm not playing against that. Then they get to ban one more. And this is usually where the differences come in. But from there on, you can see how that priority stacks outwards. And, you know, the best civilizations are going to be picked at the top. And what I'm really excited about is seeing where Abbasid is being played, because it was a last pick for VortiX. And I really hope it gets to see the light of day, because I've been seeing some really creative builds with it and people still trying to rediscover where they actually fit into the meta. Japan, though, and Byzantines going over to each of them, it's a pretty good civilization on either side. And we've seen the priority on these guys too.
Yeah, and like for me, the Abbasid pick is in particular interesting. It's not really a highly sought after pick at the moment, but there's been some, I want to call them spontaneous builds to try and solve a role for this civ. It's so situational, but you could envision it on a map like Frisian. It was a classic pick there because of the amount of boom you could get on docks. Ibids does fit that role as well, though, is my only like hesitance. It's weird because like what I love about this is we talked earlier in the day about MarineLorD being the meta setter. So, you know, I don't want to say watching is boring, but like it's not as wacky as watching a B Anatan series where they're going to do the stuff that might convince you that they are drunk while playing, yet somehow play so well. But MarineLorD, his draft represents that. It's all the busted picks that you've come to expect. VortiX is like the new gen and the old gen synergizing, and it's going to be the predictables on the opening. You know, we said about like Mali, Rus, or Delhi for VortiX. MarineLorD, you don't want to just punt the Lancaster out just in case there's a weird matchup. There are better places to use it, whereas Byzantines, I'd say you're probably going to pick them here or Borderland. Coastal Cliffs occasionally, but I think Coastal's a bit weaker, so it's either Borderland, Gorge, or Dry Arabia. But this matchup has like been back and forth now that I think about it. The last few months, there was a time where Rus just insta-lost to Byzantines with their fast castle build because you just got burnt to death. And then in more recent times, Rus players have, and I can't believe it, started playing Feudal Age.
I mean, I hate it. As a Rus player, I got to Conk 2 at some point with Rus, and I was very proud of myself, but I was just fast castling. And then people realized, oh, I can make units against us. And all of a sudden, that no longer works. Unfortunately, guys, obviously the pros figured that out too. And now we get feudal games with Rus. So Rus can't just be the greedy goose that they used to be. But I remember a VortiX Beastie game a while ago where it was Rus versus Rus on Gorge. And it was phenomenal between these two. The fact that I've seen VortiX's Rus in every shape and form, in feudal, in castle, this man, he cooks things, and you guys, you are not ready for the spiciness of these recipes. The Spaniard, he is creative, and he will make sure that Mr. MarineLorD, with his maybe 5 cistern build, is not going to be able to do this for free. And we do have our all-time head-to-head here. MarineLorD definitely being the favorite. However, there is a chance for upset here.
And he lost last time in the opposed World Cup. It's interesting, actually, because, I mean, I don't know what MarineLorD would say if we had him on the line right now. Not nasty, I'm not using all my best civs. I can take them. Like, he'd go on about how, like, he's not going to use all these strategies because it's not worth it. It's not enough money. Because that tournament, the EWC tournament, he almost lost to Voldemar, actually, as a 3-2. scoreline in that one as well. So, yeah, MarineLorD had a bit of a shaky time in that EWC tournament. But, I'm excited for this one. We'll talk a little bit about like the Rus advantage on this map as we get into the opening. But with the performance we're seeing out of VortiX at the moment, I'm standing by my statement. I believe he could easily take this entire tournament. I was convinced of that in week 4 of our weekly Keepy MMs, is that he rolled through. I don't think he dropped a single game that week. And the cleanliness, the beautiful execution is what convinced me this guy is going to thrust an S tier this year.
I'm really hoping that VortiX gets to show us a little bit of that, because I think a lot of us, we're ready to see someone else at the top, even just a bit. We just need a little bit of a Lucifron or a VortiX or a Wham or a Puppy Paw just to quickly win an S tier, so that we can just get a little bit of that good hit when it goes on to the next one. Because I feel like with Louis, I think Louis won an S tier, but there was another tournament the week after, so his reign was not long enough before MarineLorD dethroned him again. So
yeah,
we need a bit of blood here, ladies and gents.
In fairness, it's been a more balanced year. Like last year, MarineLorD won every single S tier 1v1 tournament. This year, he's currently 50% because he lost the starter against BC, the EGC Masters Winter, and then he lost Masters Summer against Louis. So, it goes back to what we were hearing in the interview. You heard it from VortiX. There's like 8 players-ish that you can kind of see that could maybe step up and take MarineLorD's spot in a series, in a tournament.
I mean, we say potentially, but these guys are going to need to practice a lot. Now, guys, on Gorge, I feel like Rus has a pretty good advantage in general when it comes to being a little bit more passive. But we were talking about this with MarineLorD. You for a second there, you looked like you were doubting what I just said here. Passive initially. And Byzantines, they like to be given a little bit of time. So we'll see if these guys are going to be fitting into that mold. That is the most greedy little hunting cabin I have seen. Both of them that I have seen in my life. Disgusting.
And you know what? You said mold in a different way. I was thinking mold when people have to deal with this Civ. Rus or VortiX that used to be the S tier Civ, the band, they're never functional because it couldn't be allowed Civ. Always seen now, but you mentioned earlier in the day, it feels like it's losing a lot. Well, let's see if we can get VortiX off to a pristine start. Could he emulate the success of his brother and lead against MarineLorD? This is an elimination series on the final weekend of EGC Masters Fall. Whoever falls here falls eternal. Are we destined for a Spanish-on-Spanish showdown, or is the Frenchman back on form? Gorge, what a map to decide at Warman, to start it off at least. It feels like these first games have a lot of momentum to them, and, I think Gorge is kind of shoehorned into a similar role that Dry Arabia has in terms of balance for drafts.
Now, what I would like to see here is actually trying to shut down the greediness from Rus being able to get the pro scouts, but at the same time, Byzantines, when they get greedy now, is this more valuable than a Rus getting all the deer on the map? Because when you go this 5-cistern build, you give your opponent a little bit of breathing room, right? So, what do you pick? Are you the cistern boy, or are you the pro scout man who's just going to be living his best life, getting every deer, while you are getting all your cisterns?
Well, I think Rus has a really powerful start here, is step one to think about before we even get to the breed. So the interesting thing about Rus and why this is one of their best maps, look at the nature of the scouting on Gorge, if you check between the two. The way that sheep spawns gives an inherent advantage to Rus. There's a split. There's practically no sheep in the center of the map. There's left and right. Why does this make Rus so good? It's the hunting cabin into 2-scout opener. You send your first scout down one side, and you're essentially looking for the enemy scout. If you don't see him, you continue, you've got all the deer on that side. Then you send your scout to the other side, and you guarantee usually at least a third of the other side of the map. It can be upward of 50% though, because if you run into the enemy scout, you split that side, and then you can just mirror the moves, worst case, and take over the rest of its side. So this used to be popular for HRE, actually. They go double scout opener for this very reason. And in fact, I imagine when we see the sheep counter, it'll probably represent that, unless MarineLorD pulled off a godly move.
Sometimes the sheep, they just spawn in the right position for that one scout to do a pretty good job, as we hear the nice sheep bell I don't see the sheep popping up just yet.
We've been lied to.
We've been baited. Our
Is it nice sheep?
Maybe it's mid sheep. Who knows? But for VortiX, it does feel pretty scary when you go, ooh, that is a decent amount of sheep for MarineLorD. I mean,
Is it?
it's enough, right?
Maybe he's 9.
Nein, nicht so gut.
Yeah. See it like a German, because I think for VortiX 18. There you go. Rus dominance on Gorge.
Disgusting. So, getting into a position like that, I feel like as a Rus player, that's just enough sheep for me to go fast castle without needing to think about, oh, is my pro scouts getting shot down? I'm already too far ahead. So, unfortunately for him, he's playing against MarineLorD. MarineLorD's slightly better. He's going to be able to respond to this appropriately. Already getting all the wood he would need to make a production building. And now my question is, are we going to get some limited A in the early game, shut down any pro scouting shenanigans? Or is he just going to go for, I don't know, I was going to say horseman, but you cannot harass that wood line with anything.
That voice you chose, I'm just in full Ronald Weasley. It's limited nay.
Limited nay.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, actually, because like there is a world in which VortiX could have opened aggro, because MarineLorD's got a pretty bad spawn for berries. It's double forward. It's like aggro play can shut that down, and then the systems, like we're not using it for mercenary goodness, that's for sure. But Pro Scout's too good, right? VortiX, he already has the free. He's moving out for the goodies. Wouldn't be surprised to see Archer Knight as a follow-up to try and contest this. But it is tricky, because that means you're going to be shoving into the Byzantines, and in a weird way, defensively, that can make this forward spawn good for them, because they could essentially just put all their economy on this one screen, and all their military too.
Now, KP, when I see a tower out this early on, I just realize how confident he's feeling in getting that first load of deer. But I was told that if you have more than 8 villagers on wood, this means you are playing feudal. Because that's the optimal amount of villagers to just go fast castle with. So we're seeing more. This means VortiX is going feudal. He's going to be making some little bit of aggression. And like KP just said, might be a little bit of a knight archer play. Oh my goodness, KP. What did you do? Did you do an Ouija board before this? Or did you just know these players that well?
We got the script, right? So it's definitely not that I've watched way too many Rus games. Way too. Seriously, save me. I've watched too many Rus games.
Stop.
Please stop. It's pretty potent, though, with this type of spawn. The backup berry options are terrible, actually. We talked about the forward berry spawn. Have you checked the northern one? It's so far out there. You know, it's like having a Greek economy on the other side of the Mediterranean for MarineLorD. It's near Boar, but it's also not near a tree line, so you can't wall it in or anything.
Now, this is a juicy spot still, though, Gaby, because with that double berry pack here at the front, you usually don't have a lot of pressure that you cannot defend in the early game from Rus. I mean, now he's making knights, so this is going to provide a little bit of a pressure point at least. But still, you have the berry patch that is quite safe as far as things are concerned, and you just need to move in one line and defend on one side with those Limited. And getting a wheelbarrow early on means this man, he is calculated and he's safe. MarineLorD ensuring that he's not going to get raided by knights and not be able to run away. Longbows being the weapon of choice. That is going to help so much in the early game. And a little horseman to top it off with.
Yeah, normally when you go longbow, you add in horseman. It's just organic. Think about it this way. Like, if you never really see javelin and horseman as a 2-unit comp. Because the problem is they count on the same thing. So the complementary element here is you have longbows to deny spearmen, and then horsemen can do what they want to usually everything else. But with Rus it's a bit different because the heavy cav and the feudal. I think for VortiX is going to be a raiding approach. You know, his signature is all in, but I think in this position you kind of want to maybe chip raid, build up your knight lead, and then look for a play into castle, which is difficult because I feel like Byzantines are always the civ that just beats you to the castle punchline.
Well, Rus is definitely one of those civs that can contest that, especially with those hunting cabins being so far out. He does get the maximum amount that he would ever need. And this feels pretty decent because with Rus, you're not forced to go onto gold to actually mine. You can just ensure that all your passive resources are doing the upgrades or doing the units. And that's exactly what he's been doing here. We already see almost 4 knights out, and this feels pretty good as a Rus player, especially when you know you haven't had to touch a single bit of gold. He's idling out that economy. We see the villages in shambles right now as those boys do not have a tower to keep them safe, and the army, VortiX has decided, I'm moving out with all of you. And now all of a sudden that berry patch I talked about being quite safe is not that safe.
The good news is the deer on the north side is pretty much a free zone, though. Only one Limitane over there. And the knight, I mean, one Limitane is a nice start, but you can still force some idle time here. And also, there's a moment where MarineLorD has to come further out. That's when I'm a bit worried. So when I see this Limitane count go up, right? These are rookie numbers. 9 only, make it 8. Oof. Where's the 15 count and above? He's definitely going to feel like he needs it quite quick in this type of game.
Yeah. What makes Byzantine so good is the fact that you get to the farm stage, just get so much oil. The longbows, they deal well with anything that you throw their way. The problem is just MarineLorD needs to get there. And this is an army from Rus that makes me feel like he doesn't want him to get to that point. He doesn't want to get him to a point where the longbow mass is going to matter here. Now, VortiX, he's getting a little bit of gold there or footed there in the bank, and that usually signifies a very happy Rus. Now just ensuring he gets a few more knights. This is going to make MarineLorD have to stay in feudal and keep making units. He's now getting +1 ranged attack, and this is going to make this a lot better for him with those longbows. But again, just 10 longbows. He's not in that position yet where he gets to do this all for free and just brain AFK and try to attack into the spearmen from VortiX's side, because those are knights, those are not spears. They do not take the same amount of damage as you need them to do, with VortiX also now getting +1 ranged armor.
It's like a weird order for things from MarineLorD, though, because the deer got gathered from the west side, and then he stopped guarding the east side. So now you just feel a bit odd, like you've moved out of flow a bit. Your opponent just returns to what he was doing before. This is the annoyance of playing Gorge against Pro Scout civs when they get the split deer spawn. You feel like you can't do any right. You can't split your army 50-50 because then you just get jumped on one side.
Now those longbows are showing us why they can be so annoying with sniping out a few archers just outside the range of their own. But yeah, exactly. When you get control of one side, there's always a little bit of a deer pack for you to get back on. And we already saw VortiX pretty early on in the game. He went for one of the deer there on the side of MarineLorD, just sneakily getting it in because he knew this was not going to be something that's contested. But these units are a little bit out of position, though. VortiX has to be careful because those Limitane can make this a very tough fight. And just like that, we see the archers doing a pretty good job here at picking off. But those Limitane, they're still pretty scary. And you can see the knights just looking for a bit of an opening. They do take a while to kill. And that's a pretty heavy amount of damage. The horses now getting that surround as well, but the knights are pretty chunky, and the archers, they have a one target and one target only, and that is the Limitane.
Yeah, there's an opening here. MarineLorD, it looked good with the initial brace, but VortiX, what he done really well there was minimum distance charge. There was no stun on the brace. He done a little bit of damage, but he took just as much in return. So now an opening to jump on the longbow. Second wave of spearmen are going to be coming through. It'll make VortiX think twice, but even with a reset here with longbows get away, military count does not look favorable for MarineLorD, which is unfortunate because he was trying to prep for that switch into a castle play.
And VortiX is full on here, ready to stay in feudal, something we just haven't seen enough of Rus of. And is this one going to be one of the few Rus wins we see this tournament? Finally getting a little bit of time to shine for these archers, just Limitane looking like they're made of paper. And the horses, they are next. Now with the archer mass just increasing and the horses falling like flies, it just doesn't feel like MarineLorD has any answer to this. Longbow's now pulling back. And you can see with only 5, this is no longer the longbow mass anyone fears.
He can't afford it. He's gone deer. Seriously, he's got 26 people on food and his olive oil income's under 200. He's moved for the deer, which is great to deny VortiX, but it means you just aren't getting your mercenary quality. So now things become even chiefly more concerning. What's your what's your archer answer, rather? He's stirring into horsemen. My concern is the way this is playing, it feels like VortiX is going to have a lot more food to work with to play mass cav than MarineLorD.
Now getting a few more deer yoinks over on the side feels pretty good here for VortiX because his opponent is out on deer, which is something you don't see from any Byzantines player, but this also means you're denying him of the food. But MarineLorD, he says, we're going castle, boys. I'm still investing in a scout, which I absolutely love to see, because this speaks to the importance of knowing exactly what your opponent is doing. Him delaying his castle age by just a smidge to ensure that he gets that vision out, getting that scout to see what is going on. So VortiX now getting more and more archers, and even with 4 archers in queue, he's ready for castle. He hasn't touched even a drop of gold. It is all passive resources, and he's having a great time at it.
And those knights, they're just starting to fish. VortiX, real goal here, get to castle age now. He's rushing for it, and, well, a little bit weird on the placement, actually. He didn't want to delete the lumber camp. To be fair, I think he spent a longer time in field than he expected, because that tree line is so thin, it probably wouldn't have mattered.
Now,
Pumba.
actually getting first blood on the villagers, definitely setting the pace for MarineLorD and giving him a little bit of a boost here into the next stage of the game. With him, keep in mind, you guys might think, okay, so VortiX is doing pretty well. MarineLorD still has that economy boost because he's on level 5 cistern. This economy of his is decent, and that farm transition, it's starting to be a problem, I would say. And especially now with the Golden Horn Tower and levels of 5 cistern, that is going to be a lot of longbows coming out.
That was actually wild now that I think about it. VortiX saw the entire enemy army out of the base. I thought he was just going to go back in the base. Because MarineLorD, for whatever reason, was steering everything to the north side. I think for VortiX, he's just like, okay, don't want to risk it. I'm teching up anyway. That brings his own inherent risk. Goes to the veteran seat. We'll be looking at research, and I imagine we're going to get a rush timing into the monastery. Because this does turn into a relic race. Remember, MarineLorD, he went for the Grand Winery, so he already has a capability to get into monks.
So now seeing exactly where the boys are on Pumbaa, he's going to try to get that raid off and does not even get a single hit. But the tower is going to be firing at these horses. They are not going to be horses that want to take a lot of fire because every horse matters here. Let's see those relics though.
Spearmen. Remember, longbow massing becomes kind of crazy at this point for Byzantines because they're getting longbows for free every 1.5 minutes from the Golden Horn Tower. So you can blob up quite nicely there. It's a decent defender against knights even when you get enough of them.
And what I love to see is the fact that MarineLorD prioritized +2 attack because he knows how big and important this one push is going to be. The thing is, I think for him, he might actually have a little bit more of an opportunity to wait this out, get a little bit more of the longbow mass, I say, as this massive army is pushing out. And with all of those archers, maybe not. Maybe I would be wrong in this scenario. But that tower pushing him back, because we know the Byzantines' tower is not always what it seems. It did shoot little arrows at him, but you can never be too careful with these masses of what is next. If you see the little blue dot there on the wood line of the pink, MarineLorD is getting raided there at the back.
Yeah, this has been going on for ages on that horseman raid, but this is a bigger deal if you can find and connect a few kills. You kind of need it, actually, considering the amount of idle time that's been forced on that boar. Yeah, to the point of the dive-in, the bigger problem here isn't just the tower. It's like, there hasn't been an emphatic victory in a fight. So keeping that in mind, militarily, you should be somewhat on par. And I think that's why VortiX is showing the appropriate respect. He doesn't see the thread, the cut here. And MarineLorD loved this. I was wondering if we were going to get Cataphract, because he was holding off for a very long time. But Cataphract has been surprising me, man. They are able to brute force into normal heavy cavalry much more respectably than you expect on the same spend.
Now, with Cataphracts, they do feel a little bit clunky, but just the fact that you can get so many shots absorbed with them as well, it definitely changes the pace of what your opponent can do. Because when your opponent is just like moving his army while managing another attack, it's very easy for them to just waste the shots on the Cataphract, and then your army can do the cleanup it needs to. So I feel like the Cataphracts, being what they are, they just allow you a little bit more leeway with your units, especially if you need a little bit of time to target fire. And here now, they are looking for that tower kill, and the longbows are standing at the front. This is a little bit tough here, because if they get caught out, again, not easy to replace here.
Ambitious monk, or you could just drift by. The Matane are giving quite an aggressive chase here with the archers already on them, and the longbows can't keep up with this. So I hope MarineLorD realizes it's not the type of chase we find desirable until longbows are in range. Give me a resetter. That one Cataphract is actually just being ignored. It is target fire, but that means VortiX is overkilling the spearmen. This is one Cataphract is actually allowing MarineLorD to push up so confidently. Great pin, grabs the 2 knights. At what point do you just say screw it and A-click?
Well, apparently MarineLorD is just doing exactly that, but with the amount of longbows, he's just dealing with those knights as if they are horses. Just normal horses without the armor. I say that, but now target firing the archers. He knows how important this is going to be. The Limitanei actually going to be able to do a little bit of damage, even in their little numbers. He needs to ensure those archers go down first. Now, we do see the shift click quite intensely here, but VortiX now is running out of steam. And MarineLorD, keep in mind, he's on farms. This is not an infinite resource. He's okay. He's just going to be able to keep up that production, and VortiX eventually will not have that same power he did earlier, because we see no farms, villages on berries. That's not a good look for Roos.
It looks like he's lost the relic game as well. The third one is practically at MarineLorD's base. Fourth one hasn't even been reached by him. Wouldn't be surprised to see 4-1. MarineLorD, he gets knees now for cataphract massing. I feel like that was a bit dicey. Like, VortiX, that one cataphract just screwed the entire plan for him. Like, you saw it. Preferably, when you've got 20+ archers, you want to A-click stutter step, and you kill, like, 2 Limitanei. Killing 1, he was definitely overkilling. He had to be at that stage. Unfortunate for him, but well played by MarineLorD to read that. Now, going to be a recharge in the back line with a second wave of knights here. Dispatch to the first group of longbows, but this is only half the firepower. There's still plenty more where this came from for MarineLorD.
Now, MarineLorD's army is still feeling so good. And we saw this a little bit earlier from Byzantines as well. Byzantines, when they get to this longbow mass, it's so hard to find an answer to them. And VortiX realizes this. This is not something he's going to be able to do. And I absolutely love seeing that MarineLorD knew how to hold back and attack exactly when the time was right. And Roos does not get that W we talked about earlier.
YouTubers, let me just give you the title for the video right there, right now. This game was won by 1 cataphract. Truly was as well. Like, the amount of distraction, absorption, and also the fact that you just got so many kills. Like, it was just a smart read, and it's a reminder why sometimes when you're up against Archer Mass, just adding in like a men-at-arms is so good. But that Kata, a beefy boy, definitely worth his weight in food and gold, and it puts MarineLorD 1 game up. VortiX won't be able to get that confident 4-0 we talked about in the interview. He's going to have to reset and go again. And I mean, even this like follow-up pick, Jean versus Mali, an intriguing one for Boardland. I think MarineLorD is not looking to waste time at all in this series.
Now, both of these players took some pretty strong civilizations here for the first pick. So losing, or both of them losing out on the civilization for the rest of the draft is big. Now, MarineLorD, he got the W for this one. So it's pretty much bigger for him, but going into the rest of this is now VortiX's priority pick. He needed Malians. He made very sure he got that. And this shows how important it is. While MarineLorD, he's picking JD here. So even if JD does not take the W, it doesn't feel too bad, because you got one of your opponent's strongest civilizations out against one of your mid-civs.
Yeah, and it's interesting still that he prioritized Malians at the start of the draft. We wasn't expecting it to happen. But you know, it's a good map for them. Boardland is pretty respectable. It's actually like Malians is one of the better anti-pro scout civs on this map because of the wide spread of gear. Opening scouts is a great way of stopping pro scouts. And what makes it more problematic for the Jean and French factions is because they just want to build knights, they have less entities to guard each side of the map. So I could see a world in which this gets him a win, and then you like delayed pro scouts yourself because you'll need the food. You could just eat cow anyway. But like this opening game, I mean, I was thinking about this, like sometimes it's rough when you think about these type of like maps where a lot of civs have versatility, applicability. It can be hard to guarantee the obviousness of your opponent's draft. And if it's a very close series, the first game really is the one that matters the most. So if you go 2-0 down here in particular, I would be shocked if VortiX makes a comeback. Like this caliber of play, especially in BO7s, the way I feel like they play these days, you never want to sack your second game to give a draft advantage later, because that's when the draft gets weird.
Yeah, because then the suboptimal civs come on out. But the thing is, I think with MarineLorD, or with VortiX picking Boldland, this is probably one of the confident maps for him. He knows how to play Malians on here. He knows how to use the advantage. And like I said, even if oh yes, it's home base. He's speaking to his own hair. He's like, I know exactly what the power is here. I've spoken to the bald-headed man. I know what to do. He says in a Spanish accent, which I cannot do. And VortiX will have Malians, which I mean, he's made the build. He's looking pretty great on it at the moment. I think a lot of people are expecting big plays here from VortiX, and I'm definitely on that list. So guys, I want some progress in the chat for VortiX, as we are going to be looking at our faces for a whole 2 seconds until we move into the game. Let's hop on out.
Here we go. Game number 2. VortiX looks to get it back on track. A bold man to master a bold map here with the Malians. But is it going to be too bold of a pick? Because MarineLorD has gone for his own home territory advantage. And it will be Les Gens of the French for the Frenchman to see if he can go 2-0 up to make a statement against the Spanish bros in this elimination series.
And after Lucifron beat him, and I would say convincingly, Lucifron looked strong. This feels like MarineLorD's redemption game. He needs to take this to also ensure that he gets that confidence up against these guys. Because losing in the winner bracket final is definitely, it's humbling. Because MarineLorD has had a pretty easy tournament life in most of these events. We've seen those win rates. It is absolutely nuts how well he's been doing. So getting into a position where he is now the one who's like, okay, I have to think about this. These players, they are actually pretty good. And that just enforces you to actually think about your moves. And wheelbarrow is going to be the initial move, y'all. So I love this. I absolutely love it for JD. And I know it's normal for French and JD to do this in the early game, but it's absolutely so important against civs that are so prone to harassing you while being mobile, especially the Malians, because we've been seeing what they can do with those scouts when we are out on maps that don't have safe calls.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually, the wheelbarrow opening. I was talking to a pro player that's getting back in the scene recently. He's like, I'm not sure how you do the JD wheelbarrow opening, because it's obvious with French. They have better economy, so they just wheelbarrow pro scouts organically. You have to pay attention. There's a slight tweak in the economy to actually get that timing to align for PS plus wheelbarrow simultaneously. I'm curious if that's the way MarineLorD wants to go. I'd be shocked if it's not. I don't know if I've seen a Jean/French pick at pro level on Boardland that didn't involve pro scouts. It would be a first.
Now, with the amount of sheep that JD got here, I would actually love to see if the sheep counter is currently working. What we got with the split. Oh, and he just converted it. Disgusting. We got baited again. Sorry, Twitch chat. This was probably on purpose. Oh, 14. Love that.
Actually, no, it's more. It's 17.
Okay.
Now. Okay, so yeah, there's a fun little UI bug with Jean. Because I think it personally would be pretty OP if you had 4 Jeans. So, for whatever reason, when you club a sheep, it becomes Jean.
It becomes Jean?
Yeah. So like, if we select MarineLorD Seco again, you'll see it. He'll have 4 Jeans, I think it was. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. 4 Jeans.
Oh, my goodness. Is he playing House of Lancaster?
Right? Instead of the lords, we've got the ladies. There you go.
No, beautiful. Jean converted sheep for the whole army to snack on. But I feel like this is where Malians loses momentum in the early game, when they run out of that food source pretty early on, both of these civilizations. If you are playing against French, JD, Malians, once the sheep runs out, it just doesn't hit the same to go on the berries. It just doesn't hit the same to keep that pressure up. And MarineLorD right now, he's in the driving seat with all of the sheep on his side. So, starting this game out in this fashion, it looks to be pretty tough if VortiX, but we've seen what VortiX likes to do. Does he go for that early 3-cow build that he has made almost popular?
I think in this situation, like, he's got almost the perfect amount of gold. It could make sense, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just prioritizes getting the scouts out to try and block your opponent's play. And there you go. Yeah, stable straight away. Like, block it before greed, because there's no way free cow feels better than pro scout.
Yeah,
pro scouts is
definitely.
just ridiculous. I think MarineLorD put it best himself when he was talking about, I think it's Frisian, and this was in the height of the pro scouts meta. he was highlighting how ridiculous it was that people would choose pro scouts over fishing on that map.
And it just shows the pro scouts, it's got its place in the meta fully in a rank number 1. So VortiX getting that second scout out and double broadaxe. So it doesn't seem like pro scouts necessarily for him that important to get this early on. But we have to keep in mind that with VortiX getting those scouts, he's getting units that can fight against the knights, make it less enticing to dive into a TC. So it forces your opponent to keep making units. And now we see MarineLorD making 1 knight and going for the rest of the scouts. Now 2 scouts out for VortiX. He's going to be trying to use these to ensure he keeps that knight busy. You do not want that guy on your side of the map, because once he starts charging in, your villagers fall like flies.
Yeah, now pay attention closely to the amount of scouts that Jean built here. If MarineLorD stops at 4, it means that he believes he has map control. If he goes up to 7 or 8, he's rushing to get what he can before it becomes risky. Normally, I'd expect Jean to do the 3 to 4. And in fact, if you look at a lot of games, Dry Arabia, everywhere else, you'll see this regularly. French and Jean are the bully sit. So the expectation is you don't need to rush getting deer home because you have control of the game. And that's important because if you do go 8, 9 scouts here, you can't get knights out, right? You hinder your own timing.
And MarineLorD now going for the second knight, he realizes that these scouts are just going to be annoying and they're constantly going to be running around trying to trade and get back out instantly. Now, VortiX is following up with something I honestly did not expect to see this early on, because usually you go for the hard counter. When you're playing against knights, you see donzos, you see spearmen, but he's going for the sofas. He gets the donzo itself, sure, but getting the sofas out is a very unorthodox action here that I think most of us haven't seen there yet. So far, going to add that mobility, but it doesn't necessarily instantly counter that knight.
It's a mini raider, though. You know, a scout will get in and he'll take, he does 8 damage, so it ends up taking you 6 hits to kill. Which, sorry, it's even worse, it's 7 hits. Whereas a sofa will kill a worker in 3. So that's a pretty cool detail. And, you know, people have just gotten so much better at not losing sofa. We have to remember they're quicker than knights, so you can dodge the affair. Rough little experience there, though. MarineLorD baits VortiX to lose one of the warrior scouts.
And now getting another sofa here, it's quite expensive as far as this investment goes, because these guys, they're not going to be healing up in any economy. And now he's getting 5 cows behind this. And I want you guys to notice this now. This man, he recognizes, hey, I need to put pressure up. I need to force him to react to my units. But at the same time, I need to boom. And he's doing that. With 5 villages on gold now, he's sure to invest as much as he can while still producing units. Now, more donzos on the way, and he needs to keep MarineLorD making knights. But the problem is, when the knights get to a certain amount, that is going to start becoming a lot scarier.
Yes, and it's an interesting thought, like scale knights versus scale sofa. It's actually crazy. I've seen games where sofas just beat knights, and it doesn't make sense. But it's the scale point. You know, it's the advantage of movement speed and the kind of swarm factor. You reach a size with blob where it just doesn't matter. Like, think about spearmen versus archers. Like, oh, archers counter. Oh, what's that? 40 spearmen? Oh, no. It just... Melee does have a threshold where it gets absurd. But yeah, MarineLorD hasn't been baited into archers yet. He's going to see the Donzo soon. That should be enough to convince him to add in a few. But the cool thing here is, like, having melee Jean, you have an answer to 6 or 7 Donzos.
And already getting an answer of, hey, take this experience times 2. That must feel pretty good, especially with John being able to heal up these
9
knights in
XP
time as well.
for a spearman in my economy? Ah, such a good life. Seriously, when you're up against these premium spear civs at the opening, you just feel so good about the extra XP. It's a bit tricky, though, because obviously there's more melee defense. Like, this is an interesting game, because I think it does become a race back and forth sometimes of cat and mouse because of the design of the map. Like, it's not that you're worried about pro scouts because like that's safety at home. The risk here is actually often your gold and your wood, and that's where VortiX will get opportunities with the sofa.
Yeah, especially soon, because it's a bald land. He knows that. This land is as bald as his head. He's going to be able to move out and take a few villager lives if MarineLorD dares go outside. And with these pit mines, he's not really putting himself in any imminent danger by putting villagers all the way out there. He's just getting every single cow he needs, now up to 15. And when we look at that food per minute, it's pretty dead even, but considering MarineLorD is eating from the deer, it does hit a little bit differently.
It's just, the cow timing, though. I'm impressed with VortiX. I don't really feel like MarineLorD has a threatening case right now. It just looks like instead he's thinking about going castle himself. But that's nice. Getting that sooner is great. Like, getting the guild hall online quicker against most civs. I think Marlians is the exception where kind of rushing it just lets them rush cow. And the boost that you get from Fulani is just absurd with this civ.
Now, ensuring you don't die the moment you hit that age up, that is the weakness. Now, we've talked about this before on the stream. When Marlians ages up, they have this moment of where things start falling apart. And this is usually where things very much go south. JD now standing on the front line, she's feeling very confident today. Going all the way to front here, the Donzo's pulling back. He does need to be careful here as he's invested. Ooh, look at those sofas though, getting 2 villager kills here at the back.
Yep.
The raid at the front, but don't worry, I'm raiding from the back as well. Donzos now are going to need to push these knights a little bit back, because if these pit mines go down, the cow economy is not going to feel the same.
I don't know, though. This is rough for MarineLorD. Losing 3 workers now? 4? I told you, it's this tree line. These sofas are such a good unit. 1, 2, 3 hits, but he doesn't actually get the final tap, unfortunately. A little bit greedy there, backing away. He already was dead on that one. But Jean also now having a hard time. Remember, the Donzos can hurl all their spears at her to almost kill her off. Sofas also get bonus damage against her. He's trying to get around for the cleave, but the pathing is cursed. Jean, 2 taps from dead. The Donzo spears come through. She's gone. MarineLorD, he's struggling.
And now, already having 3 more knights in queue, MarineLorD is very committed to this feudal age right now. This is not... Oh, when he buys Jean back, he realizes, I need every grain of experience. Because if my opponent goes to castle, that cow economy is not going to be something we can handle. 4 villages down as well. And this is not the French civilization where they get those extra villages just a little bit faster. This is dead even count. And even though JD can discount from those buildings, it is a dangerous path to go down. Now, the Donzo numbers keep increasing. Sofas still being invested into. And this is just going to ensure that VortiX, when he does age up, he's not going to be in as much danger as your average Malian player.
Yeah, keep an eye out at the start of the next fight for VortiX's micro. He's got some basically dead Donzos, but if he pulls them to the back, he's going to get a lot of value out of them. It's key here, actually, because MarineLorD getting this breather is perfect for him. Just look at the rejuvenation factor from Chivalry. These knights, they were in a fight. Did you know that? You can't tell. Don't look at those health bars. No, they're fresh off the factory line, I swear.
Oof, and JD taking quite a bit of damage here from just that Donzo throw. Now, the cooldown on that does take quite a bit, so she will not be in too much danger anytime soon, but it does feel pretty intimidating when this lands. But now those knights, they're most likely going to be looking for some damage the moment the age up hits. Another one taking the fall now, and that's a lot of Donzos to be able to do this.
Still, gold at the back. That isn't being addled at all. So VortiX is going to have an ability to get what he needs here. Tech up complete, fuse up the veterancies, both the Donzo and the Sofa. That Sofa raid group is still looming around the back. We'll be able to chase it away now.
The thing is, this is the connection point. We see those knights in the base, and he is looking for it. The market coming down, he knows how important this is going to be, because every bit of resource that VortiX has now, he's going to need to optimize to be able to get the value. Another knight being picked off by the Donzo throw. And this feels pretty scary, but VortiX, he doesn't have the gold for this. He doesn't have the food just yet, but it is kicking in a few seconds, and then he will start drowning in food. But all the other resources are starting to get denied, and this huge amount of knights, they just make this scarier and scarier. But those are Castle Age Donzos now, and they are going to be ready for a fight.
VortiX, like, I think 10, 12 villages from the gold. Okay, a little bit less than that. Yeah, he dodged death. The pitmine is going to be forfeit there. MarineLorD is navigating this really well, actually, especially considering that gap on his gold gathering as he switches across the back one. Perfectly timed with his push away on the Sofa. Now the Donzos, with the upgraded damage, they look for the sniper on Gorge. He's barely holding on. Just enough health to stay alive. And you can see the hesitation now. VortiX is worried a little about that level 3. I mean, it's still going to be a horseback Jean de Masse spears, but it's a problem, and the problems are growing. MarineLorD catches him on the front gold. VortiX is struggling to get the Sofa pump and dump he's looking for here.
Now, the problem is with two groups of knights, your Donzo numbers are going to struggle because 26 Donzos against 26 knights in a fair fight would not be doing too well. But the problem is all of these Donzos are chasing after these knights, and that means the front group is going to have a great time. Now, finally, we get to see a landmark we haven't seen in quite a while, as the guild hall has just been prioritized every single time. And now, MarineLorD realizes, I've got 20 knights. I'm going to make this work right now. We're not going to go to Imperial. You've got cows.
I mean, it's meant to be your time to shine, right? It's where Malians feel best. But MarineLorD doing this is very kind of gambly, all in. But he has good map control. He's got deer to come home still. In VortiX, he hasn't contested that. And it just gives MarineLorD the agency to rule with this landmark. Normally, in a split game where both are pro scouting, I don't think you consider this. I think you just take the safety of guild hall. But it does give breathing room. VortiX is back on gold. Sofa numbers are building up. Donzo's looking strong. And I mean, the funny part is, like, do you think MarineLorD is going to add in any other unit type this entire game?
It feels like MarineLorD is, he wants this to work, and if it doesn't work, it is what it is. So getting every single upgrade he could potentially get for his knights, he's just investing every drop of gold. The problem is those sofas, they are looming around, like you said, they're looking for some damage, and they are going to find some villages eventually, but first, they will need to get past these massive groups of knights, and the sofas, they are going to retreat. But this does give VortiX a little bit of information in terms of understanding what he needs to invest. JD now getting the experience very close to level 3, but luckily only a little bit later before this really starts kicking in. Those sofas now with the imported armor almost coming through. I wonder if they'll turn around and take that fight. They should probably not do any of that.
I would just run. Just go. You're faster. Honestly, watching John in these type of situations, you want the fight, you're not being given it. It's like when me and my partner have been playing Borderlands at the moment. She has to AFK to go do something, and I'm just farming XP. It's the same type of thing, right? You're just carrying them across the threshold to be a high level, but it's getting you there. The important thing is she's not getting sniped, which is a big challenge. When you have melee John level 2, Sopha's gobble her up. She hates heavy cav units. So great job by MarineLorD to minimize the losses. Now, level 3, ready to roll. Jean de Pony has arrived. Probably going to be seeing the champions, considering up against Donzos, and the riders have no use here.
Now, the Sofas are really trying to split this army apart, because when you're up against Royal Institute Knights, you just need more units than your opponent has. And these Donzos getting picked off, it's pretty big, because even every single one of them will add up. We see these Sofas being pushed back, but both of these players losing villages. The thing is, you just don't want to be even with Malians. The thing is, but the problem is the Knights, they're Royal Institute Knights. This is going to be disgusting.
Army value, add in another 3,000, at least. That's how it feels right now. And you know, this Donzo army is meant to be so good. And you could probably just plow through them, actually. Especially the champions to just break the race. I love that he waited until he was at the base to spawn them. Screw the efficiency of getting more out sooner. Get them in position for the dive. He jumps on in. He's going to hit the cow to force the defense from VortiX. Reluctance sets in, though. He knows how hard this fight is going to be.
And the JD, she's still taking this with all these Donzos in this round. It feels so tough. The Knights are trying to battle this out. You see the Donzo numbers dropping and the Knight numbers staying pretty consistent.
So for in.
Oh, disgusting. He's
It's a
finding
raid.
every bit of damage.
There's not enough Knights guarding there, Warman. Like, he's going to end up losing workers at home, so he needs to win this fight and then break past onto the farms. But instead, are you kidding me? I thought Royal Bloodlines was a game ender. Donzos, hold on.
JD barely surviving this, but she gets out by the skin of her teeth. And the Donzos, they will fight another day. But both of these players did lose some villages in this fight. We saw one knight from the north there, and the Sofas, they killed some things, but there's still a cow economy. JP and MarineLorD, I don't know how he's looking on the food department. Ooh, now he's going in the middle of the map department.
Yeah. Gold runs out fast here. And the other thing is, like, props to him. I highlighted that raid from the Sofa was going to hit his economy. It didn't, because MarineLorD rallied the second group of knights back to defend. That's why this push looked weak. He had about 12 knights that just weren't participating. That's why VortiX was able to hold on there with the Donzos. Great defense from him, and now kind of a shaky position here to be in, right? Like this landmark, the Royal Institute, isn't really known for recovering from downslides. It's a momentum-based landmark. And what do you do at this stage? Do you try and go imp? Do you just red palace and anchor around it? Because if you do, you're not going to get it organically like you normally would with the Guildhall.
Well, clearly, he is telling us what he's planning on doing, and it's just moreknights.com. So investing in moreknights.com, he says, is the answer to this, to actually ending his opponent's career. I say as VortiX is making another sofa raid, ready to humble his opponent, but that is a lot of knights. And 23 Donzos against 28 knights is not a fair stack.
Oh, he's teasing as well. John, almost dead. Not quite. Halfway towards level 4. If at first you don't succeed, it's not delusional. Just keep on going. Knights charging on in. The Donzos can't find a choke point. They feel safe. And now the Liko raided the walkers. What? Completely unguarded. A Warlord to try and save their lives to buy a little bit of time here. But MarineLorD is going nowhere.
MarineLorD is fully committed to this. The sofa right there at the back, not killing any villagers, but the knights, they are having a great time. MarineLorD, wow.
What a game. MarineLorD. This was meant to be the one that got VortiX back on course. You know what's so depressing about that, Marika? It's not like he wasn't doing anything. VortiX was trying to raid Mirror Blow. But he learned the hard way that you just can't trust Donzos against Royal Institute. MarineLorD, a rare landmark choice from him. But it now puts him 2-0 up. And this is where the draft can become completely scramble-brained.
VortiX lost arguably his best civilization against MarineLorD's, JD, which is not on the priority list of picks. So this feels like MarineLorD is pretty comfortably sitting in this series and already planning for VortiX's demise. So for the rest of this, MarineLorD probably feels very, very confident. And I see a demon civilization already being chosen.
Get me out. This is the thing as well. The way MarineLorD played this after that previous fight, normally French players, their approach is, oh no, my knights have been injured. Let me just go and add a bit of WD-40. We'll erase the dance. We'll go again. It's like it never happened. And that's meant to be your advantage. Just chip raid, wear them down, burn them out. No. Like MarineLorD, we saw this hard commit. We saw one reset and another hard commit to end the game. Not often you see French and JD played that way, but that's the difference, I think, between Jean and French in particular, is that Jean has urgency, but also has agency. You have to do things because you're not building a work elite. You have to do things because you benefit with the XP gain. And I think that's the thing that was in the back of VortiX's mind, is that MarineLorD was always threatening for these fights. And if VortiX had just 5 more minutes, I think his raids would have got him what he needed. MarineLorD knows his timings too well.
The problem is MarineLorD knows his timings on these civs, but he does on every single other one. And what he's got in his pocket right now is something that most players just don't have an answer to, especially not Ottomans. They usually do not have an answer to the Lancaster playstyle. I feel like Malians sometimes do have an answer to what Lancaster has on offer, but losing out on such a strong civilization now against JD, this is a really, really tough position. So now Dry Arabia, and this is usually the map that we see skill win, because your woodlines aren't thin. Your spawns are usually not too strange. It's a pretty standard 1v1 map, and it just forces your opponent to base his strategies on purely what he can do with these bad boys. The hands, he needs to make sure that they do the work. And Lancaster, they changed that aspect because they just make units that we don't have answers to in feudal right now. And I think a lot of people might not understand exactly what the problem is with them right now, but those lords that a lot of people make, the answer to the lords is usually responding with enough archers to take them down, but the natural follow-up is Hobelar's, and Hobelar's destroy any archer mass that is possible. And that is why this is a pretty tough spot. But of course, we'll see what the Spahis hold, right?
Yeah, Spahi is weird. You think Spahi just wins, but Hobelar's have some upsides. The extra HP, the better attack speed. It's also just the opening units really define the fights. I think we're going to get it. Well, at the end of the year, we have to. The Lords are too good. They have too much health. They do too much damage. Don't change the aura. The aura makes sense. But all those three things together, it's like the perfect storm. And these units, they set the tempo so well. Like, think about when English were dominant with the 2TC meta. The reason they got away with that is because you had to react to the king. And you reacting to the king put you behind. The difference here is, like, in that situation, you could at least envision you deal with the king and now you do something. But the Lords is just pressure oriented. And it plays so phenomenally well. Complementary as well with, like, the triple mana build. But, you know, Dry Arabia, a little bit different. Like, they're still good here. I think Lancaster probably would have thrived more maybe on, like, front range. Coastal would have been a no-go, though. Parisian's usually a good map for them. And Altai also surprisingly effective because you do a Dark Age opening. You pressure with spears. If you get no response and no value, you walk your spearmen to your back corner to capture the point of interest. And then you garrison a villager for stone to build your manners. So, like, looking at this draft and then late game Lancaster on that, don't get me started. There's just so many maps where they work. It's become on China's level, not just because of this strategy we're talking about. It's the fact that it can be played almost anywhere and do what it does.
And the cards they have in their pocket, like you said, there's just so many things that you have to be ready for and respond to. I remember back in the day, you used to think, like, hey, if my opponent is scouting aggressively, they're cooking something. And with most civilizations, it's straightforward. If you see Mongols scouting aggressively, you're like, oh, there's spearmen follow-up. Lancaster, they could just be thinking about the next stage. They have so many choices that nobody can really predict what that play could be. So it feels pretty tough, especially with Ottomans, where you can get denied off of outside resources pretty quickly, and that just snowballs from there. Lancaster, pretty good civilization right now. And the pros, they see it, because MarineLorD, he prioritized this thing. So let's go in and see what he does with it in those beautiful French hands, micro hands, on the micro god, the chimp. He has Lancaster.
So you're saying if French were English, they'd be unstoppable. That's what I heard there. Okay, let's head in. Game number 3. MarineLorD leading by 2 in this best of 7. First of 4. And VortiX has to answer the demon Civ. House of Lancaster on par with China in the minds of many a player right now. If there was any way to answer back that this could still be a Spanish Grand Final showdown, it would be winning against this Civ team.
Definitely, because with House of Lancaster, you stopped that heavy momentum that MarineLorD has built. And KP, that thing I mentioned about MarineLorD scouting aggressively and he can still deny resources in the early game, exactly what this man is doing. He's going to go straight for the gold and try to just poke a little bit around, because with Ottomans, you like slowing them down, even if it is just a little bit. And MarineLorD, he's getting a few of those spearmen to try and do so. A fourth one already in queue. And with them spawning with that extra sheep in the early game, it allows them to invest a little bit more into military, because they have the extra food to go around. Why would this bother them? The scout does see a double spearman, so this gives him the level of information he would need to pull a few more villages onto the gold. But he needs to be quick about this, because this is going to start getting annoying very quickly.
Yeah, and that's, like, go even further. It's not just they start with 4 extra sheep. There's a reason that they were given 4 extra sheep in the first place. And that's because they gather 20% faster from them. That's what enables this at its heart. The spearman play is just so efficient for this Civ, and when you know you're going to follow up with Lords afterwards, it's even more efficient. All of a sudden, this unit that you could afford is going to be much tankier in the second age. And great in this matchup, because if you think about Ottoman players' #1 prerogative, they want to get Sipahi.
And getting to Sipahi requires a little bit of investment here, a little bit of survival time, which starts to look like there will be none of this. Now, 4 is the magical number, apparently, says MarineLorD, and he starts burning down this mining camp. Now, just outside the DC range, this feels pretty good, because with Ottomans, you're already so starved for wood here in the early game. So losing a mining camp at this stage of the game feels so tilting. But let's see what MarineLorD follows this up with. I say that, but I know exactly what he's following this up with. He's going to get his kings, because Right now, it's just the best play. I remember when we all complained about not being able to kill manors, and then someone accidentally built the other landmark, and all of a sudden, oh, look at how far he had to go for the gold.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hungry boy.
This is looking rough. So, landmark coming in, Minaret Madrasa as expected, Abbey of Kings on the other side. We need to dissect this. You know, this is why, teach us why Lancaster is so broke with this build. We already highlighted the sheep costs. Very big deal, or rather the efficiency. 20% faster, allows them to produce spearmen like this and still catch up on it. Then we follow up with why this player is so valuable. Denying gold is so valuable because then you can deny your opponent's timing into things like Undermesh and Shield Arrow. That's so important because of the Lords of Lancaster. It means they remain very tanky, and it sets you up perfectly for the Hobbler strategy to follow. Hobblers that have more ranged armor already, and if you get the Lords in conjunction with them, they end up having the same health as standard horsemen, while being 33% cheaper. That's nuts. To say that out loud is crazy, and the weird part is how dynamic this feels, where we need to go back to Spearmen or, Yeomen. We thought we were never going to see them again in Feudal Age because they cost 95 resources each. But they're affordable, Warman, because you spend 30 resources less on your cavalry, so you can spend 15 more on your archer. The dynamics are wild, and the Lords were the thing that just put it over the top.
So just too many answers and too many questions that goes unanswered for your opponent. They just don't have the option of dealing with it. Now, Ottomans, they do get some spearmen for free, which I know it's not exactly a lord, but at least it will answer to a bit of the call from the Hobblers. The problem is just, I don't even know if we'll get to that, because usually by this point, most players pull off of gold. MarineLorD, on the other hand, he stays on gold. He's already going for those kings after this. So a lot of players, they will ensure that they get a different production building from here on out, and they pull off of gold to just get the manors out as quickly as possible. The thing is, he's not doing that. Is this just going to mean that he gets another king and another king? And we see those kings not counting in the military there just yet, but yes, the second one already being built because he knows he's playing against a civilization that just doesn't have a response to these guys. And the response they might want to make is just going to get countered by anything he decides to follow up with.
I mean, MarineLorD's French. You've at least got to have like the Charlemagne Three Kings type situation going on. And then on top of that, he's playing as English, and we loved our civil wars. So you're definitely going to be seeing a Lords. I mean, this has become the mainstay of this civilization, really, for most competitive games. I think at this point, World's Edge probably would have just called this Civ House of Lords if they weren't worried the British government would try to sue them.
No, with two of them already heading over, these House of Lords are going to be quite a menace. And you can see VortiX doing that natural follow-up that I talked about, getting an archer. Because the archers, usually when you're dealing with a civilization that has an armored unit, you don't want to face them in a hand-to-hand combat. So archers are just the natural answer. The problem is just, again, with those Hobblers as the follow-up afterwards, it is going to be a little bit tougher for them to handle. Now, he does have the two imams here, so this gives him a little bit of play. If MarineLorD is not able to kill the units will just get healed up to full. And with the House of Lancaster, usually that's not a problem, because you will kill the units and more.
So there is a window here for VortiX, and the window is this. It's Imam into meta, while your opponent's on Spear Hobbler Lords. So the reason that is so good is the trade-off for House of Lancaster is, well, that would be a full melee comp. And the Hobblers are phenomenal because typically they swarm and overwhelm. But even if you overwhelm, if the meta has the melee armor turned on, you do 5 damage by default. Abysmal, right? It's terrible damage. But where things get dicey is when you start losing the auras, the imam, and the meta. So what you're looking for here, probably around 12 minutes, 13 minutes, as MarineLorD should start adding in yeoman. It sounds dodgy against Sapahi, but yeoman is the way you unravel the Omnis Strat, but that does give VortiX the opportunity to take 3, maybe 4 good fights if he chooses the position right before it becomes a problem.
Now he's looking for a little bit of a raid, though. We do see that blue blob there at the bottom on MarineLorD's side, and the Sapahi fighting that scout. But the gold is being watched. He's looking for finding a bit of damage. He does know that there are some spearmen guarding it. So he realizes, hey, this is not probably a full commit, but it means the lords are going to be ripe for the taking, I say. But still got it by the spears. He does need to be careful.
Turns
Now,
out healing for Imam's not good if dead. So like -1 Sipahi's a big problem. This needs to be blocked. VortiX needs a way of stopping that deer gathering, because that's when the Hobbler count in like 2 minutes will go from 4 to 20.
the problem with losing two Spahis like this, in a normal matchup, okay, losing a Sipahi, not a great move, but losing a Sipahi in this matchup where every single hit counts, this could be devastating. This could be the end of the game right here. The moment the Hobblars now join this party as well. Those archers are not going to be protected for too long because only 3 spearmen to guard them, that is not going to be enough. The Sipahi numbers, he's desperately trying to get more, but you can see this mass already on MarineLorD's side, and he's just going to turn around. He says it's time. Let's fight.
Oh, you want to brawl? You brought infantry? All right, time to catch you. And you can actually force them to turn around here. The Hobblars are an interesting one. They have free ranged armor by default. So the archers, even the steel arrows, shouldn't be too threatening. And you want to dive here for the Imam. If you can snipe one of these Imams, it's a game changer.
He doesn't have his eyes set on the Imams, though. He wants to get these archers. Now, the Imams, they are the thing that gives Ottoman their early game power here. And letting those live might actually put him in a little bit more of danger, but we can see the destroyed value already. MarineLorD, he took a pretty good trade here, and we see the Hobblars now chasing down on those Sipahis as well. Now, they don't have a lot of melee armor, but they do run pretty fast.
So, the time has arrived. The Yeomen are building up. And the reason why the Hobblar, by the way, didn't go Imam, I think he understood like 4 would be hard to body block. Plus his damage kill timing would be low. So he just takes the bonus against archers. But this is now really scary. I think VortiX, he hemorrhaged way too many Sipahi. I say way too many, like the 2 or 3. It doesn't sound like a lot. But now you don't have that scare factor. And Yeoman is the bully that is coming out in the playground the next 2 minutes. And the advantage was meant to be blacksmith time. I think VortiX done a great job of recovering after losing that mining camp with that timing. That window's closing. MarineLorD, he's only got about 40 seconds to go until he has Steeled Arrow.
And getting Steeled Arrow with the Yeoman is going to make this so much harder for VortiX to just survive. Now, he's got his Mechter. He does have that extra bit of ranged armor if he plays the drums correctly. But at the same time, he is going to be able to take more damage. And then, when the units do damage, you're not going to be able to heal them up because they're going to be dead. And now, Hobblar numbers are getting scarily high. More spears joining this fight as well. And now, with the Yeoman numbers increasing, this is getting scarier by the second. Archers from VortiX looking great. But archers are not what you need in this fight alongside them. He's going to need to have perfect micro. Oh, and now you see the Yeoman just being so oppressive here. Imam's instantly trying to heal them up. Villagers need to pull away. And the problem is, he's not in a happy place for food.
No, not just that. MarineLorD is snaking the idea of castle behind this, which would just be kind of an end gamer at this point. VortiX wouldn't really have the resilience to catch up right now, or there's difficulty in staying on deer. But yeah, MarineLorD, he just kind of calculates his approach on this, isn't going all in, understands that's not necessarily needed right here. Just that the Yeoman numbers keep scaling. If you need to commit to the age over time, great. Yeoman ball being bigger is better. Don't hard commit. And you know, this is the point where the meta loses its value, because the meta it has this situation where when you're up against a spear Hobblar, melee armor is incredible. But now it's 50-50 army. Your only good option realistically is the attack speed. And attack speed is only really advantageous when you have the numerical advantage.
And the numbers is not on his side just yet. Oh, now see, that would have been an amazing pickup with the Spahis. If he got that whole group of Yeomen running out so far, it would have been a very different fight out for him. But MarineLorD, even while getting ready to go castle, has such an oppressive army, and he could potentially end VortiX getting out on those resources right now, but he doesn't need to, because the moment he ages up, he's just going to have Earl's Guards as well, and things just get worse.
That's so dirty. He's hugging the tree line to hide what he's really up to. The villagers, though, does get 1. That's not good enough, though. Have you noticed something wrong with the economy, VortiX? He was housed at one stage. He's like half a villager behind.
And he definitely has lost a little bit of that focus as, ooh, this army is now going to finally find their connection. But this is the point. He was surrounded by this army and he needed to find a way. But the archers, they're trying to get on the spears. And you see the lords are going straight for the wood line. Oh my
The
goodness.
backstab. The Sipahi, they come in here. The Yeoman, a little bit overextended now, so he forces the Lords back into the main fight. VortiX, this is the brawl he was looking for, but is it going to be good enough? The problem is the Lords take so long to kill, they drag a lot of attention. It even makes the Spearman difficult to one-hit kill, but he still has the Archer number for the time being, but he's being drained fast. VortiX, the army barely exists anymore, and this is only wave number 1. He can't slay a single Lord. He can't take a single game. It is almost over. One more, and MarineLorD will book a rematch up against Lucifron.
That was peak House of Lancaster. And I think VortiX watching that back, he's going to sit there, read through it and be like, should have lost the Sipahi. Wouldn't have mattered. Because that type of fight that we just saw there is exactly what House of Lancaster has been bringing for weeks. And there is just no logical answer to it up until this point. But MarineLorD, he knows his civilizations. He knows how to put this pressure down. And it looks sublime.
It breaks your heart for him, though. The backstab of the Sipahi looked so good at the start. You want to believe, okay, there's a way. He can clear this way. But through it all, the Lords, people say they want a kill count. I almost want just a damage statistic per unit. Those Lords in this fight, they were standing still for so long. And brilliantly done. MarineLorD, he targeted the wood line to force VortiX to react to it fully. And then look, they just stand still for most of the engagement. So they're not getting cutted out. They're not wasting time at all. And we always talk about the Imam heal being cool, but it's 1 health per second. You're dying way too fast at this stage. And always remember, those Hobbler, they cost 33% less, yet they have only 5 HP less than a standard horseman when the Lords are near them. That's why they somehow outlasted Sipahi.
Now, what I find really interesting in that last view we had, VortiX was trying to micro so much that he even didn't get to click the tower onto the spearmen. They were fighting, or the tower was firing at the Hobblars. And at this level, these top pros, every single hit is calculated. They know exactly what they're doing, unless being overwhelmed. And that is exactly what MarineLorD is forcing here. Now, both of these guys, they're in for a fight, especially on coastal cliffs here with Japan versus French. Now, I feel like Japan probably has the advantage at keeping French at bay in the early game here, especially with their early game shenanigans we see. And finally, Japan could be the little House of Lancaster on the side of VortiX here. He has been quite aggressive in Dark Age, and that's usually where you land your damage against French. French love to go for wheelbarrow early, and if you can punish them for doing that, then you should probably be okay denying the pro scouts as time goes on too. But in tournaments at the moment, KP, where is the Japan-French balance right now? I don't think we see French-Japan that often.
So, for a while, in the very early days, French didn't hold a candle to Japan because there was a very weird interaction where French Knight spam didn't work because you know how you get bonus damage when you charge them with French Knights? It didn't trigger on deflective armor. So you done no damage on a charge, you didn't get bonus damage, and you were against a chunkier unit with more damage. So it just wasn't good. Then people realized something quite comical about the French-Japanese matchup. Japan has terrible crossbowmen. So if you can get the Arbalatrier as French, you're golden. The challenge sometimes for players is getting there, and the other thing I want to give props to Japanese is I think they've had a lot more feudal potency recently that can make it more difficult to get to crossbow count. But I'd still lean French here. I think Frenches look pretty kushki, and when you play at the absolute highest caliber, on a map like Coastal Cliffs in particular, I think Coastal is a more linear map, so that you can actually kind of justify going arbitrary sooner than if you're playing dry raid.
Now, Arbitraire, me trying to pronounce the names, Arbs, for the rest of us English speakers.
You want to say in a more like American accent, so it's like Arby's, like
Arby's.
Arby's.
Well,
You want to go to
those
Arby's?
Arby's are going to be so good if we can get there. But the problem is getting there especially with VortiX being so aggressive. Oh, that's the amount of American I can do for you today. So I don't foresee VortiX wanting to play MarineLorD's French in Castle at all. After JD, it does feel like this is something he might take a note out of. Because with Japan, it also feels like you need to do the damage pretty early on. Because as time goes on for French, they just get better and better, right? With the extra villages they have. And if you're not able to land those raids, MarineLorD showing us exactly that he's not willing to lose villages to raids as much. And if he does, he will do them back to you. So I think both of these civilizations, really big snowball civs if you do get ahead. But in Castle, I can definitely see a lot of dead villages on the field for us.
Yeah.
If we get there.
It's the Dark Age as well. If MarineLorD gets a bad spawn, he won't even get to that point where Pro Scouts feels very fluid. It could get very annoying. If VortiX gets the right type of spawn, and I mean, we've already been here before today with MarineLorD. If you remember, the Lucifer MarineLorD series started on this very map, and our boy MarineLorD got a bum leg on the opening. His Pro Scout play couldn't connect because it was a double 4 deer that seemed to just starve him out. There's some potential here, and I think that's where Japan has thrived the most, is these Dark Age openings. In fact, the Dark Age Rax Rush opening killed Shinobi. They don't exist anymore. Yeah, ninjas are from fantasy. So think about it. It makes sense. You don't go Shinobi anymore. It's illogical, because if you open up with a Rax, you've already now built a reason for me to build archers. So now if you follow up with a Shinobi landmark, well, one, you've sacrificed the easy farm transition, but two, you've now added in a second unit type that gets countered by archers. Now, you could use that to your advantage and be like, haha, you're definitely going to have to build, a counter. You'll build archers and I'll build horsemen. But now you're just, economically in a weird place. So it's the same reason why, you open archery range and then add in, a stables, right? It's much rarer to see someone go archery range, archery range, archery range, archery range, archery range, archery range. Unless you're Crackety and you're playing Chugnu on Cliffside. But, for most people, they're going to think we need someone else in there. Sorry.
Getting a little bit of a mix. No, definitely relatable. But I feel like Twitch chat's sitting here right now and they're thinking, hey, what about when I go triple archery range? Now, don't worry, man. You're still doing it right. But VortiX...
Just believe.
He's sitting there with the meta in his hands. Dark Age Barracks. Here we go. Now... like we said, oh my goodness, MarineLorD, he knows this is coming. Because this is, of course, the one thing that stops French from being French. You just need to deny the denial of the deny. And now we just get a denialception. And VortiX might take this and be like, hey, I'm probably... oh, cancels the spearman. I was going to say he might just make one spearman and call it a day, but he cancels the spearman completely. And just goes on his merry way for the rest of the game. So,
I think I'm going to pass on that one, dog. I mean, there's just nothing to hit now. Look at the tree lines as well. There's nothing. I don't want to call it MarineLorD spawn because he had to do something to make it a MarineLorD spawn, but then it does feel that way. He got deer split, one behind the base, one each side. He got double tree line very close together. It's just, it's kind of like just waiting to embrace you in the center there. A tiny wall, no damage can be done. So this is just a depressing Rax, but hey, upside is you only spent 75 wood for it. Meanwhile, MarineLorD spent longer to build an outpost and it cost him 100 wood.
And it definitely sets the pace for the type of aggression that VortiX wants to show us, right? But now there's a tower on the gold. And all of a sudden, you can't just go on the gold, harass at some point. You are actually going to need to watch out for the knights now. Those spearmen are just not going to be able to oppress your opponent at all, because you now just have a standard old French on gold, a little bit delayed, still going for the wheelbarrow, but this is a man who's going to have knights, who's going to force you to defend, and I think this is MarineLorD's type of game. This is what he wants. He wants to be able to just sit back, make knights, pro scout, and try to see how it goes. You see VortiX running behind those sheep, thinking about getting a hit or two on those, but that's a solid amount of sheep that he's not going to be happy about seeing.
It would have been nice as well, actually, because if you club 2 sheep there near the gold, you need to build houses. You just put a farmhouse out there to actually use it later. So yeah, it would have been a nice little grab. You need something going his way, because now you know Pro Scout's going to happen. You can't really stop it. Hero's going to be coming in because Shinobi don't exist. They're not real. Okay, have you ever seen a Shinobi before, Warman?
No, never. I've never
Exactly.
seen one.
Because if you've seen one, then he's a very bad shinobi.
No, it was probably in bronze that one time. Shinobis, they have their place, but on water and hybrid maps, that's where we will see them every now and again. But for now, with the current meta, like you said, it's just something that is not as prominent anymore. But MarineLorD now running with more than enough food to sustain him a while. We still have 3 on gold, which I would be happy to see if he goes for the 4th one, because usually the 4th indicates we get that pro scouts pretty early on. But he could just go directly for pro scouts without a knight, because he knows what he's already denied by this point. But there's still time to up the strategy, guys, so we'll see what he decides.
I mean, the thing is, your opponent's playing out into berries. He's on gold. He hasn't built an outpost on gold. So adding in a knight straight away is really nice to kind of force the matter. But MarineLorD, please tell me he's building a house. Okay, he is. Yeah, he's fine. For a second there, I just saw the wood. I was like, oh no. Let's not have a little bit of pop-in efficiency at 4 minutes in the game. After we always up him, big up him is like the master of French.
Well, now with the gold already he has in the bank, KP, it still looks like a pretty solid. Yeah. I think
Q a knight, Q maybe 2 scouts, then have pro scouts. Salute.
exactly. See, I think with the timing difference now, based on his delay because of the tower, of course, this is just looking a little bit different, but same. You already have the mill, might as well just get the cheap upgrade with it. But what I absolutely love about this is just the fact that he gets to choose. Now his scout is looking directly at the gold, looking for opportunity. And he now sits here and makes that decision. Am I going for my knight or am I going for pro scouts? So that scout getting the information he needs. Am I going to be able to land a raid? Yes, he's out here on the berries. I could just get a solid charge in there. But VortiX sees the scout seeing his situation and builds a wall there, ensuring that the knight is not going to have a fun time raiding around there. Thing is, like you said before, wall building time, it takes a while. The knight might still rear his head in if there's no spear to push him back.
Yeah, and if there's more knights coming, there's going to need to be more spears because you haven't walled the other side, right? You're gathering berries. He has at least gone for Tawara plus Takazaiku, which means he's getting through the initial berries very fast. Fortunately for VortiX, this spawn sucks. The tree line being in the corner is not what he would have liked to have seen. He probably would have preferred berries in the corner on the left and the south side. Because berries, if you get level 2 wheelbarrows as Japan, it is ridiculously fast. It's as quick as gathering from boar.
But KP, Twitch chat, YouTube chat, do you guys realize what's happening right now? VortiX, he's being a little bit spicy.
Oh.
But VortiX also being spicy in terms of going for a fast castle against French, who's going pro scouts, who's going to have unlimited food and already feels confident enough moving out on boar.
But hold on, Marika. I may have to blow the wind out of your sails here.
Yeah.
It's not pro scouts. He went boar. He switched it up. So now he has a very aggressive timing in mind with a very good gathering rate against a player whose full defense strategy is a spearman.
And a singular one at that. So Twitch, I hope you're ready for a little bit of bloodshed as the knights are going to be looking for some damage.
Pro scouts?
Now, transition into pro scouts, the natural transition into pro scouts, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Because you always go boar and then pro scouts, right? This is what everybody does. It's kind of unhinged and I respect it. I thought maybe he just gung-ho, but I guess now the wall being up, he's like, there's no point here. I can't stop his tech, but I can outbreed him.
And I absolutely love this for MarineLorD because him realizing, hey, I went for the ball. It is what it is. I wasn't gonna do pro scouts, but now that I see fast castle, why not? Give me the rest of these resources on the map. VortiX now about to click that castle, but the funny thing is, luckily MarineLorD did not go for this. But we sometimes see Japan going for a fast castle against French, and then you get taught why this is not a strategy. Because the knights, they can just take quite a bit of damage, and they love diving under a very simple old TC. Now the archers are in position here, and they are going to try to get a little bit of damage on the villagers. Knights just looking around, trying to see if they can get a charge off, but not going to be risking too much here. Now, MarineLorD, he's still making units while at the same time has 500 food in the bank. So with that boar income, it leaves a lot. It doesn't leave a lot to be desired because you've already got everything you want in life.
In life, whoa.
Yes, in life.
I don't know, man. Like MarineLorD, you know what I think? I don't think he's got everything he wants in life. I think after last year, he brought like the biggest trophy cabinet you can imagine. And he was like, I can feel this in like 3 years. And then he lost 2 tournaments this year. And now, like, he probably leaves the gaps in the trophy cabinet, you know what I mean? Like a kind of like a little dust spot where it should have been. So I bet he's mad. I mean, for MarineLorD, I think he'd see it as a failure if he doesn't win this and the Masters Finals this year because of the high bar he set before.
Now, the problem with setting a high bar is it is only so high if you deserve it. But MarineLorD, he's deserved it. So KP, remember, he's got a pretty big trophy from his last land victory, a sword and a shield. So he's probably pretty happy. But yes, like you said, he does need a little EGC one to put there right on top.
what, if he wins the American land later this month, would they give him a gun or something? Like, I mean, you gotta one up it, right? Shield and a gun.
In Europe, we believe in sword battles and also surrounds.
Oh wait,
MarineLorD, no, that is a very nice samurai.
Wait, no way does he lose no villages on that. What? The scout is trying to get the kill. He actually still gets the worker kill, but it cost him a mad samurai. MarineLorD, he's heavy investing. Look at that knight count.
He doesn't care about your mounted samurais. VortiX, I have French knights and I do not care about your mounted samurais. Do you see this charge? And that's exactly what they're doing. They're just charging and killing and doing damage. And if they wanted to, they could even heal up if he so dares invest. But this man, he doesn't need to. He's just going to make more knights.com. We've seen this before. MarineLorD, he believes in the way of the knight. He's French.
What you don't realize about MarineLorD is when he picks French and the game starts, something unique happens. All of a sudden, there's a minor earthquake on his house, and his hands start shaking. And then there's like that kind of... You ever watched a Twitch stream, Inception, where like it watches his own Twitch stream, goes in it? That happens, and all of a sudden, he channels his ancestors from far ago. He's living the life of a French knight. That's why he's so in sync with this heavy cav. His ancestors have become him.
And this is the best you could ask for, because if you see us around like this as a Frenchman, this is going to be the war that you win. And MarineLorD, destruction. Left, right, and center. These expansive samurais just falling like flies. Now the food sources are out on the map, and I don't know if you've seen what a little tower does to these French knights, but not much.
Is this like the French version of Highlander? There can be only one, and it will be him. MarineLorD is battering these mounted samurai. You wouldn't think there's an age difference between them.
French knights are just making them look like they're made of paper. But you know what's even better? French knights against a little tower. So these guys, if they so chose, they could do even more. But instead they decide, let's get a little bit of chivalry, get a little bit of healing. That's going to be real nice, and then we'll do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I say you wouldn't think there's an age difference between them, but actually, funnily enough, if you looked at these two in real life, you genuinely would think that they could be like father and son age difference. But make no mistake about it, folks, MarineLorD is only 2 years younger than VortiX. This is a vet of the RTS scene, and that's the thing that always shows. You know, it's that seasoned veterancy that is stuck through. You can tell all those years forging himself in previous scenes like StarCraft have paid off, have built up to this beast that always seems to be the final boss at the end of a tournament. And unless VortiX can pull off a miracle, a Hail Mary, it will once again be MarineLorD waiting in that grand finals against Lucifron. With the tech up coming, the fact that VortiX is outnumbered on knights, time is not on his side.
Now, what's different about this game, though, the guild hall being the age up, is it speaks to the matchup. Because in our previous game where we saw MarineLorD going for the Royal Institute with JD, it was against Malians. You don't want to fight a long game against Malians because of that food eco that you want to deny. You need to do damage, and you need to do it now. With the guild hall, you're going up against Japanese. You don't actually mind playing against Japanese the later the game goes, because as KP said before, your orbs are just a little bit better than what Japanese has on offer. in terms of crossbows, I say in annotation marks. This is unfortunately the fact of Japan, and now he's getting said crossbows at the moment. The samurais charging in, but they've fought this fight before. They know what's about to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like Age of Empires emulating marketing spend budgets, but for some reason, to get your lady crossbow, you pay 20% more. It's crazy. And, you know, you get the mobility, which feels good, but it looks like MarineLorD, he is getting warmed up for that NA land. He's got to get familiar with his Arby's, you know? You got to get ready to the Arbitrae, which, of course, will be the solution to everything that VortiX is building right now.
And VortiX just trying to do a little bit of damage, but MarineLorD is constantly reacting, and we see that villager count finally making a difference here, because MarineLorD, he's on French, and he's 3 villages ahead, even with VortiX. Wait. Oh, this feels a little bit tough now. The samurai numbers are getting bigger, but those French knight numbers have completely stopped.
But the arbitrary count is inflating quick. The trade-off here is like what VortiX is going to get out of this is the relic game. MarineLorD is essentially forfeiting that, and I think he knew it was going to happen, because if you want to get arbitrary, you can't mirror movements, because the benefit of paying 20 resources more for your crossbowman or crossbowwoman is that you get a pony. Now, when I say it like that, it actually sounds like a pretty good deal. In a static fight, it is terrible. But in a dynamic fight, it's a huge advantage. But this is not the advantage VortiX was looking for. Walks head first into a scarier army, it seems. Is at least kiting nicely. He has got the Kaburia to give the extra movement speed on the Musha. But micro is a problem. MarineLorD, oh, nicely done. VortiX, just enough damage there to snipe the knight before he peels away for a full heal. And now the recommitment comes in. The mounted samurai spread out. The Uma Bannerman does get sniped straight away, but that's still 25 seconds to work with for the buff. MarineLorD's numbers, they're still looking so damn good.
The gold just ran out for VortiX, so that pump of power that he just had is going to run out, because now all of a sudden he needs to go on a forward gold next to that deer, and this feels like the natural position for MarineLorD to move into, because of course you're asking yourself, where is my opponent getting resources from? He sees that gold expiring on the minimap. He knows where he needs to hit. And the best part is he's going to be hitting really hard when he runs into all those villages out on the deer as well. There's a few towers here to keep them alive, but they are not in range of them to just jump in.
Yeah, and my brain just went how, and it's not because I went American and now I'm going to do a roleplay conversation with natives. No. What I'm howing here is, how did MarineLorD just grab one relic, the more risky relic? Like, how is this now about to be a 3-2 split after the one advantage that VortiX should have had was the relic game? It's still going to be a lead, but it's not the dominant lead you were expecting here maybe 2 minutes ago.
And French, definitely not a civilization that struggles too much if they're just one relic down, because of that guild hall in the late game. They have a few extra tricks up their sleeves. That TC now firing pretty hard with the villagers inside, but the knights are ready to clean up if anyone else dares come close. Now, the thing is about walling off that side, it just doesn't feel necessary, because there's nothing that he could be protecting over there. While at the same time, MarineLorD could just grab control of that whole side of the map with the army that he has in his pocket now. Okay, Pete, he's floating quite a bit of food here. And my big question is, why? What is he doing? What are we going for? Are we just going to be playing a late game against Japan? For fun?
You could just... So here's the weird one for you. Just like, don't invest all your resources, stockpile a little bit back, and then rush a keep, and then you get all the discounts. I don't think you need a keep here. Just keep playing it. Just keep playing tempo momentum. I mean, one of the big problems is MarineLorD, he did go pro scouts, but did you notice how good VortiX's follow-up spawn was? Like, his start was a bit weird. But the trade-off is, look at how close the deer and boar are together. This was not a good pro scout game.
Yeah, he may have gotten his resources he could, but now he needs to survive this one push that VortiX has in his hands, because the thing is, VortiX realizes he needs to do damage. He hasn't been able to do enough. He did kill 3 villagers, but at the same time, this is a very scary army from the French, but now the spearmen are getting through, and the Arbs are not doing the best job at cleaning them up just yet. The villagers are pulling back, and a little bit here of idle time on the villagers, but maybe.
It's a lot of spears. It's a lot of spears, but the keep drop. Yeah, sorry, there was one. Okay, MarineLorD's safe. Like, this is... And now, the other weird problem here, he does have the Bannerman, right? It's not showing on the UI, but, like, we have got Bannerman in there. He did prioritize the Spearman as an upgrade. Look at the numbers. This is tragic. He's going to lose spear mass. The arbitrary may not be at critical mass now, but it can keep rather the mounted samurai at bay. I don't like the look of this right now for VortiX, because the other problem you run into here, Marika, is if you play a long castle against Guildhall, it's already up to 800 food, 900 now. It's a ticking time bomb waiting to explode.
And that natural transition into the Imperial Age feels so good for French, because when you get to the middle of the map, when the resources are running out, popping down that keep, you're pretty close to your opponent's base. This map is quite small. You get a lot of map control. And very quickly, those very chunky knights that are running around, they are going to find some real damage. The Ops now getting their upgrades as well, and the Spearman numbers increasing for VortiX, but Spearman, they're not going to be the answer you need to deal with the Ops.
No, because Gambesons is now coming in as the thing that was missing. I think actually if MarineLorD had Gambesons, he would have maybe stood his ground a bit more. +5 armor against Spearman is a depressing life, even as Japan with the Katana Banman buff of 15% and the extra 1 melee attack. Still feels like you're just not doing what you should. Even this Horseman strategy is weird with Horseman as well. You know, they lose 5 of their damage despite the fact they double against Arbitrary. It's more like a soft counter than a hard sometimes. And the other thing is MarineLorD, like, this is the perfect comp to have for a switch into him. You know he's, well, maximum 4 or 5 minutes away from making that pull.
With 17 on gold, he's definitely able to make that decision at any point. But for now, spending every bit of resource he has into this, but now killing these mounted samurais, he's going to feel pretty confident closing out this game if he wanted to. The thing is, he can do both, and they're both pretty safe options. He can either try to kill his opponent, or he can go Imperial without taking any risk.
So you know what would be sick here? I just don't know if he's going to do it. I mean, just maybe your own spears? I don't know. Like, I see this many spearmen, and you kind of want to go Springalds, but that's the smartness of VortiX going into Horsemen. The problem is, this is a little bit dicey to dive a castle, and it's not just the Guildhall now. Because he scouted the castle, he knows that MarineLorD is getting a lot more efficient build-up here, saving on the discounts from production. Flash around the back. Knights. We'll have to cover the escape. The Arbitrary are actually overextended. The Horseman tried to leak through, but he has got the wall. Just needs to reach it. Body blocks coming in. The second wave of Knights tries to muddy the affair. There's a backstab on the way. The Spearmen are grabbing their targets. MarineLorD stands his ground. He says, to hell with it. I've got the extra armor. I can tank a few stabs to the face. And he's dead right about it. But now the cavalry, they're trying to get that blocker. The Spearmen continue in. MarineLorD, where are the Knights? They're gone.
And those are not replaceable knights at this point. We were saying, like, MarineLorD was in a pretty decent spot until this, but taking a fight straight into the Spearman, he may now have just given up the game in one single moment. And all of a sudden, now the snowball continues. VortiX just pushing out. He's pushed him off of these woodlines. We talked about these great woodlines from MarineLorD, but the problem is they're on the same side, and the horses, they're going under the TC. He's committed to this. VortiX knows he needs to do damage, and he needs to do it quickly, because French, they get ugly so fast. VortiX now finally getting for the age up as well, and we see our producer showing that there's a lot of food in the Guildhall, so he's going to be happy going Imperial. But the problem is, where's he going to go Imperial? His base?
No, but I just want you to really process what just happened here. VortiX is going Imperial first.
Yes.
Just let that soak in. Like, that wasn't the expected outcome here. Tanageshima Gunsmith now on the way. MarineLorD, he still hasn't pulled the food yet. He's going to have to build this up in a rush. And there it is, Red Palace. But guys, this is not a great Red Palace. The position, he can't come further forward. Preferably, you want to anchor this towards the gold on the sacred site or the tree lines on the east beyond the sacred site. This far back shows you how scary this game now is. I'm impressed, man. VortiX. And the other thing here is, I'm pretty sure Yuri sure dropped the TC. So he hasn't been falling behind on villages. He actually pulls ahead from here.
Now, VortiX is really showing us what survival looks like, because for a while, MarineLorD looked like he was ready to end this. And honestly, I think at some point, MarineLorD just was a bit overconfident in his previous pushes that he had. But VortiX now feels confident enough to move out on the berries. But this also speaks to the situation for VortiX. He knows, I don't have the food set up for this completely. I need to be out here on the map. I cannot slow down what I've been doing. But now that Red Palace, it's showing him where to not attack. And that Red Palace is not protecting the farms all the way to the back. So, at the same time, VortiX can find a way to do some damage here.
And I mean, just props to VortiX for understanding. I think for a long time, Spearman and Castle for Japan has been underrated. You just don't really think of it, but it's nice. The Bannerman buff is decent, and then extra +1 melee. Like, as a generic unit, they have a role to fill, and he filled it well. You know, most people, they talk about Japanese spears in the Dark Age, and they talk about them in the Imp Age, because in Imp, they get Nagayari, which is going to give you the extra range and damage against Cav. But they have their timing, as we just saw there, and in MarineLorD, now my concern turns towards gold. You need to get 2 relics. You've got Guildhall to accrue over time. But you need a lot more than that if you want to play a real Imperial Age here.
Now, him instantly switching over that Guildhall to gold is also telling us he's aware of this very limited gold that he has in his base. The thing is, he's got obs, which is quite gold efficient, but that military graph, guys, that is just showing us the trauma we have experienced in that last fight, and all of a sudden, VortiX just exploding. The Horseman switch really doing work. Very cheap switch. And now we have a Trebuchet and a Bombard joining this party as well. That's going to mean the Red Palace is just not going to hit the same way.
Remember, he paid nothing for that Bombard. All right, that's... That is, someone was digging in their garden and they found a landmine, you know? This is the other efficiency of it, is that when he needs to get towards these primary attacks, he now has a way of dealing with Arbitrier 1-by-1 in a long fight, or dealing with the keeps. Well, what a ton of events this would be. You know, we talked about VortiX time and time again. It just looked like MarineLorD was one step ahead. And when you talk about these two, you wouldn't think in the late game you'd say VortiX is going to take it. MarineLorD usually the defensive player methodical there. I got to give it to him. VortiX, he's convincing me right now. He's inspiring me with this game.
Now, the Red Palace, it does not mind a little Bombard hit, as you do need to go in range to be able to hit that properly. Now, with the Trebuchet, that does change it significantly, but as his attention is focused towards the Bombard and the Trebuchet, he's going to be able to do a little bit of raiding and get a bit of idle time here from MarineLorD, because obviously VortiX is in a good position now, and he needs to expose this. Remember, MarineLorD, with all that tempo, he would have had the opportunity to try and get map control. This is where French feels good, where you get that Red Palace into the middle. But that one attack just completely changed this for him. Now MarineLorD, he needs to find a plan.
And this is like the other scary thing for MarineLorD, is at this point we'd usually say, Guildhall, oh my god, like, game goes long, favored. Hanagashima Gunsmith doesn't get enough credit. It gives you 2 tickets every minute, which means it gives you 480 passive resources, because you can just produce hand cannoneers straight away. So the value of just accruing this is equivocal to a Guildhall, really. Like, you just stockpile it up over 7 or 8 minutes, not needing it. All of a sudden, you're whipping out 20 hand cannoneers. It's insane how valuable that can be in the deep game.
Now VortiX, he's getting to closer to max pop as well on MarineLorD. Is not even at 150 yet, so... You know, at some point that Gunsmith is just going to gather more and more tickets that you won't have any use for at some point, because you're just getting such high value army and you can keep on putting this pressure up. MarineLorD now 600 gold in that Guildhall, but he doesn't have something he can make with this. Oh, he does, but there's a lot more problems at his doorstep, and he realizes this. The Arbs trying to fight a little bit forward. We see with those Trebuchets, he is doing great work. The Red Palace is not firing back. So, this might be a problem.
Yeah, he's trying to bait him just slightly into range. VortiX is not falling for it, though. MarineLorD, let's be careful with those crossbows. The Horsemen, they see an opening. They're going to jump on in for the dive. Arbitraire now distracted as the melee lines engage. MarineLorD, time is ticking against him. Time is not on his side on the siege. He's losing the Red Palace gradually. As quickly as he's losing this army, desperation mode sets in, but it's down. It's dust, and he is done. It's 1 on the board. VortiX, is this the beginning of a miracle recovery?
Now, keep in mind, this was Japan, and a lot of people praise Japan as still being one of the top civilizations. So, very big pick here for VortiX as well, going down against MarineLorD's French, which, honestly, I would say MarineLorD has shown us French is a pretty scary civilization to go up against nonetheless. But VortiX, he was just showing us exactly how to take a game off of those French knights when they're not Royal Institute ones. But also, I would say this was just a little bit of overconfidence as well from MarineLorD in that last fight against the Spears. thinking that it would not hurt as much. But the horses, they did not have the best defense against those spears.
I don't think any of us really thought the spin were going to hurt that much. We've seen what happens spear versus arbitrary constantly. It's just a grim affair, but props to him. VortiX, he gives us hope. He gives us belief that he could do this still, but it's not going to get any easier, really. It feels like when you look at the next pick, you know, the best map that Knights Templar could be picked on, Frisian Marshes. VortiX is going to be cooking different. He's thinking about Abbasids for the swamps.
And Abbasid was a big question mark I raised earlier, because with Abbasid, we don't really know what to expect from them. Now, Abbasid has been played on this map before, but of course, it hasn't been a huge priority pick, because Abbasid just hasn't shined the same way as the other civs we see over here, like HRE, Ottomans, even Lancaster. It's even French that we would usually see over there, but it has some answers. It has cheap docks. We could be a little bit greedy. And the military wing definitely makes this a lot harder to handle. But KT, I would like to see what this thing is like on, I would say, semi-land. Because, of course, we can call this a hybrid map, but it's not KT on a hybrid map like we would see, you know? Would you regard this as a hybrid? Or land map? Yeah, it's a hybrid one, right?
It's a hybrid, yeah. Like, by Knights Templar standard, does it have fish? Question mark. And if the answer is yes, then let's like, off we go to the ponds. And Phrygian is interesting for this matchup because, like, you wouldn't really think of Abbasids as a Dark Age blocking civ, which means you should get fishing for free. So now it's like, okay, who fishes better? Because Abbasids pays 75 wood, you pay 150, but at this point, I feel like Knights Templar, if they ever decided to add DLC to the game in the form of like premium skins, they could just reskin the Knights Templar as a nation of beavers. They eat through wood so fast.
Oh, sorry, I needed a second there from the nation of beavers to recover from that. Oh my goodness.
Right? Beaver Knights, just called the Beaver Brothers. These are like the buck teeth and just like a little hat.
We're finally getting an American civilization, or is that more Canadian civilization here?
Probably more Canadian. I think like you may have just insulted Happy Poor and Wham with the American comment.
I don't know where beavers are. I'm from Africa, guys. Chill. We have monkeys and stuff. That is it. And lions. But no KTs, no beavers, and definitely not the map that you would expect to see KT as a prior pick on. But like we said, it's a good civ. And let's see what MarineLorD does. Is the question, or the answer to our question, going to be, do we go for water against Abbasid? No, MarineLorD says we're going spears, actually.
You dirty son of a gun. VortiX, as soon as he gets one game on the board, MarineLorD won't let it chill into an eco boom game. No. He's looking to leverage a spearman beginning here. And it kind of makes sense. If you think, what's Abbasids going to do on this map? You're expecting them to go pawn play. That's the logical opening. That's always been the way. There was a time where you just went trade instead, but I think those days are gone for Abbasids. Ever since Frisian got changed, it used to be that you had the trade post in the corner. Now it's in the center.
What I absolutely hate about Knights Templar with this is the fact that they get food from the gold. Or from the wood. So they're chopping away at the wood to get enough wood to get enough spearmen. But at the same time, they're getting a little bit of a food eco. So they can produce villagers, they can produce spearmen, and they are just chopping away and feeding their army with wood. Now, unfortunately for MarineLorD, for VortiX, he's gonna... Oh, actually, no, unfortunately for MarineLorD, he is going to get spotted pretty easily here, I would say. No, maybe I'm just going to be done making calls. I'm done. Guys, unfortunately, my call making ran out at 11:30 CEST, and I now abstain.
Just, you know, so like, this is casting training now, woman. So in the event that, like, you're wrong about something,
yes,
it's just a new arc to talk about why they went in a different way. Like, oh, wow, look, he didn't do that thing. But that's intriguing. I guess the reason why he didn't just go for the dot play here is because he knew the aggression was coming. And it's kind of a repercussion of the last game where now it's fresh in VortiX and MarineLorD's mind. This whole idea of, the Rax is away. So now you have this pivoted dynamic. Instead, VortiX will just rush the age up. Military wing, he now has justification for this because remember, MarineLorD just went for a little doggy time. Perfect for a ram rush.
That feels quite powerful. This could be the little bit of an opening he would need to do so. Now, we know that Knights Templar is pretty good at aging up fast because obviously they age up from the TC, so it does take a very, very short time to do so. And him seeing now that VortiX is aging up with that military wing, it feels like something he's going to put prio on. And as I keep talking about this, I still see 8 on wood. And I'm thinking to myself, if you were under pressure, would you have 8 on wood? No, you wouldn't. He's not under pressure. He's just like, no, I'll get another dock. Don't you worry. So now going for a second dock, actually, and still feeling confident about this.
I'm telling you, you can rename the Civ. They're Beaver Knights. It's not even human anymore. These guys love wood way too much. They're going to build a dam somewhere on this map at this rate. And it's a damning factor because the other thing that's really annoying about Knights Templar is they're so efficient at moving out like this. Like most civs would hang around and eat the berries or whatever. Nah, he needs more wood. Just walk that villager who's building over to a tree and just eat it. That's what they're doing. Like at this point, it's go at heroes with tangos. I don't understand why they're so good at this. But it's also impressive because, you know, if you're against an aggressive civ, leaving a villager out is risky, usually. The cool thing you can do with that villager is walk him to like the edge of the map, and sometimes you find these little hook-ins on the tree lines. Just go in there and wait. You'll never be found.
And those villagers are going to have a great time at just dropping off the wood to the sky. So it does give a unique dynamic to this civilization. But now with the military wing up, VortiX already getting the wood ready. And this could be wood for a nice stable follow-up, as we usually see out of them. But he is going to go and do some damage. Oh, never mind. Where is his resources just being spent? Is it a dock?
He wants a ram. Normally you're looking for the ram here, because the military wing on hybrid maps is a ram opening. So, for example, Kawasan's a great map for this. So, yeah, he'll send the archers over to harass. The spearmen are just going to start torching. He has gone for a dock. Okay, interesting. So is he not looking for a ram intercept here? Maybe just assuming that it'll get blocked?
He probably is looking for that ram, but at the same time, it's not something as urgent, right? Now, with the spears going for the dock and the archers denying the goal, he's trying to put that little bit of pressure he can, but MarineLorD's age up coming in pretty soon-ish with 45 seconds on the board. It does feel quite slow in this case.
Holy crap. No, yeah, no ram. So this is cool. Normally the players stop your opponent's eco, but VortiX says mine's better. He's just triple docking right now.
And MarineLorD triple docking himself, it does feel a little bit spicy. KP, he's quadra docking.
Of course.
Disgusting.
It's quadra hydra docking. I think that's the term we're looking for here. It sounds like something you'd be willing to pay an extra $2,000 in your car for. And, well, it's a premium play here. 75 wood per. It's just the more docks you snowball into, the quicker, the better it feels for assets. And you kind of need that to offset the disadvantage of the beavers on that tree line from MarineLorD.
Because these villagers are just going to be able to constantly work without being worried about a raid coming his way. Now, with 15 on wood, though, it does feel like VortiX is going to be trying to get some more units out here online. Because, of course, he might be able to shut down this dock over here. And we see MarineLorD just making more spears himself, not really looking at building any ship there to try and offset this. But now a double archery range coming out. He feels okay with the amount of income he's going to be able to sustain.
Is it Usman time for Abbassids, is what I'm wondering? You expect archers. Problem is, there's just so many spears coming. I love this. Right? Think about what's happened this series. MarineLorD wins with Jean. He loses with French. His French pride cannot allow that to be the case. It has to be a positive win rate for French, which is why he chose the commandery. There is the possibility of Chevalier here. I just don't know if you really want them.
And getting the chivalry would be great if you are up against just archers, but VortiX, he does scout out the reinvestment in spears as well. So, or in archers himself. So he's probably going to go for a little bit of a transition here too. The dock does go down, but MarineLorD will be able to eventually make his way out here. Now with the amount of units just coming out of that demon civilization, we just see Already 7th archer coming in, more spears joining, but no chivalry just yet. He is making sure that that army is full of archers, able to counter most. Now, VortiX, a little bit housed right now.
Yeah, that was impressive from VortiX, though. We talked about the ram, like you need some answer to slow down the docking. But he actually burnt it down with just 2 spears and a scout. So pretty worth, because like normally you're probably going to get 1 dock before an answer comes out to ram and like melee blob. So just a lot more efficient approach. Like normally we have seen the ram in the past and you get 1, maybe 2 docks. But the slowdown feels worth it. Unfortunately, MarineLorD, because it's the closest bond, he just walks out and builds it again. It's lean and efficient. And now, the counter-offensive, MarineLorD, saying, do you want to spend on a boat to protect this?
And with the amount of spears, he's going to need to spend that pretty quickly. He does not have the wood for that right now, making archers himself. And another one as well. This does look like that dock is going to be under siege a bit, and VortiX needs to find some counter damage in all of this. Either has to do some damage to that army, with him now getting boot camp too, he's probably looking for a little bit more of a feudal game. Even though the food balance, it does feel a little bit more in MarineLorD's favor. He's just able to spend his resources while VortiX is hoarding quite a bit. Now, the ship has been clicked up, but I don't think this will be in time to save it properly.
Yeah, he wanted to try and contest this, then saw the next wave. He's like, crap. So just cancels it in the end. Will it to cut reinforcements. And he did just get the Golden Age a few moments ago, so that's really important. Get the 15% buff to Eco. That's going to allow you to compete a bit more. In the wood department, in particular, if you look, it's actually quite impressive. 19 workers on both sides, and he's mirroring the wood income.
That is the bonus of the Golden Age. Right? No? Wait, is the Golden Age counter working?
Yeah, like it's a 15% buff on level 1 for Abbassids. The downside, though, is these are beavers. So they gather the wood, but they also eat it. You have to remember that the reason why MarineLorD is winning even more on food is because every once in a while, one of those lumberjacks finds an apple in the tree.
So now these archers are trying to do a lot of work here against the spears, but the sheer numbers here from MarineLorD is too impressive. You see the horsemen taking a little bit of an engagement into these spears every now and again, and the archer numbers are looking so scary. And now the first pilgrim making his way out too. That eco feels really good for Knights Templar.
I'm waiting for the blacksmiths. Like this feels super snowbally if he just adds it in. Because like right now, okay, yeah, VortiX smart. Yeah, he needs it desperately. Because like if MarineLorD goes Steeled Arrow in the next fight, your horsemen just melt against that many archers. It doesn't feel good. But this is a bit of a gambit. Like VortiX knows he needs to do something. Cavalry are going to be able to intercept the pilgrims. The worry here is like, look at MarineLorD's economy. He's flirting with it. You know, he's like, ooh, third age. I could build real knights, or I could build plastic knights.
And he's going for the plastic ones instead. 4 in queue already. And that's what I was saying. I believe that MarineLorD, he just didn't need that blacksmith either. And it feels like MarineLorD is just focusing on sheer numbers. VortiX now getting +1 ranged attack. And this is great, but with the amount of archers we have here, he's going to need to find an answer to that pretty quickly. He tries to get that little bit of a surround, but the archers is just too many.
Yeah, and he's losing votes for it now. He's got the rotation coming in. This is an overextension now from MarineLorD. He doesn't have many spearmen. The Steeled Arrow advantage coming in. VortiX should be favored in this fight.
Now behind this, MarineLorD does have a little bit of a surprise with the horses, but that's a round KP.
It's a chow down. It's a munch down. VortiX getting the exact type of fight he needs to get back in this, but there is a raid into his base. It's going to cost him a few workers, but erasing the archer mass, truly worth it.
That was a majority of any army that MarineLorD could have produced up until this point, with all of those dots placed around the map. You just see pink dots everywhere. And this feels good for MarineLorD in general, because we can see that food income per minute. He is living his best life. The problem is just now he needs to survive against this boot camped up army that is heading his way. And VortiX is making quite a bit of archers. Now that archer mass is not scary, and he's going to be in for some danger.
This is a timing and a half. Undermesh now coming in as well. MarineLorD still staggered on his tech timings. The Chevalier are going to have their work cut out for him. Yep, as has been highlighted at the boot camp, it's just such a potent element here. That extra HP allowing these archers to feel truly favored in these type of engagements from similar numbers. Could it be that we're about to see, with water involved, the Knights Templar not looking up to scratch?
Now, KP, you cannot blame the civilization for one misengagement. The poor Civ has been looking pretty decent up until this point, but the horseman numbers are so scary. The Chevrolet, they look like they are doing a pretty good job at trading out, and the horseman numbers do thin out. Honestly.
That was pretty brutal, actually, for VortiX. Like, you saw it. He tried to just head on in the small gaps. And MarineLorD, it looked like a panic retreat, but he just stands his ground. It's such a smart read. VortiX wasn't trading well into his heavy cav whatsoever. And now, VortiX is going to go for the up on Age. But after a fight like that, I mean, MarineLorD, he might be able to just mirror the timing here. We have to remember that Knights Templar is an absurdly fast Civ at teching up. Only takes 45 seconds.
Now, I like this culture wing here for VortiX, because with Abbasid, especially at this point, you don't want to fight Knights Templar too late. You're going to be able to hit your Castle Age timing, you're going to be able to get a few units out, and you're going to need to get those upgrades as cheap as possible. The culture wing, now 82 seconds, but he needs to find a way to keep MarineLorD from going castle himself now. He needs to ensure that MarineLorD keeps producing, and that's exactly what MarineLorD is doing here. We see more archers in queue. And at the same time, VortiX has to mirror this. He needs to ensure that that economy stays well and healthy, and the production queue, same.
I think the thing that's kind of scaring me here right now, though, is the linearity of Frisian sometimes. Just send it into your opponent's base. It's just across the other side of the street. That's where the horsemen come in clutch. Like, you want to try and draw attention like this. But it's not working. Look at the minimap. MarineLorD is heading into the base. He's going to intercept the gold. VortiX, a little bit slow on the reaction. Should be -1, maybe 2. Chevalier looking to make it more, but good micro away. And now he has confirmation. MarineLorD knows it's an age up. So do we all in, or do we need to just stockpile so we're only about 30 seconds behind on age up?
Now, with this type of an army power he's got, when he sees the berries, this already gives him the information that, hey, VortiX is out here and I can probably find some damage. And with this, you are on the wood line. You have a very easy in here. You see exactly what's under the TC. Still a lot of sheep, but you can't just build units with sheep. You actually need a little bit of wood. And as we can see now, the age up coming through, he doesn't want to wait until this is a fully upgraded army. But then he decides to back out. He says, not going to take any risks. Let me just age up myself. I'm almost there. And then we'll make this work.
Yeah, because if you stranglehold your opponent, like, gold starves them out anyway in Castle Age. That's the tricky thing with Frisian. There's only so much of camping in the corner that you can get away with a lot of the time. We have at least got VortiX's horsemen still raiding in. Nicely done, but Shiv's out. Get out of my neighborhood.
The archers just tickling those horsemen to death. They looked like they were going to do a bit of damage, but the villagers were ready for it. It feels like we were just watching Order of the Dragon villagers taking a fight, because those villagers look confident as can be. Now, the Angevin Empire coming on in 40 seconds. It is going to be pretty quick, but VortiX knows that there's a timing here, and he needs to land it. Now, with a few knights on his side, it is going to be a bit harder for MarineLorD to defend this, but it does look like he has the numbers for it.
Angevin Empire coming in. An interesting choice here, actually. The heavy spears definitely makes sense in this format. It devalues the batters going into the Gatling gun archers, deals with the knights. Can be tricky to keep the economy going long enough for that, but that's what the pawns are able to enable. And what the hell? The gap there just leaves some of the infrastructure to escape. I love that. People never do this, and it gets them killed, but a great read by MarineLorD to get out there quicker. But this dive's been coming. It's been brewing for a while. VortiX now underneath the primary TC after the age up just completed. He doesn't have ranged armor 2. He doesn't have damage 2, but these are veteran archers that can trade phenomenally well against Archer Chevalier. But unfortunately, as is often the case, more bows beats less. No matter what beautiful wood you make those less out of.
And MarineLorD looking confident here with all those villagers inside the TC just firing away at these archers. Now the Lancers are doing, on the Knights, are doing a great job at killing a few of these archers, but look at MarineLorD's army. He's got a lot more in stock, and they are about to handle this so easily.
This was the best shot he had at it, is that the army was split because MarineLorD was chasing on the flank, but Veterancy is kicking in just a moment, alongside damage too. He perfectly primed this together, and now the Templar bros spring into action. VortiX, the dive that was his best shot, has delivered no killing blow. He is the one free eco behind after all that.
Now, VortiX, very hard commit here. He knew this was now or never. And Abbasid just not showing us the comeback we wanted to see for the civilization, trying the last hurrah with the Knights. But when this fight is over, he knows exactly what's coming his base, and it's a bunch of heavy spearmen and a lot of archers coming too. Those horses are just not going to be able to keep up the fight. You see him now getting a few more horses in queue. He just wants to keep this going for as long as possible. The archers target firing because they do have that boot camp, but he realizes that's it. And MarineLorD will be in our finals tomorrow.
A rematch opportunity. VortiX's valiant journey ends here. A third place finish. MarineLorD, not a clean cut for the second time against Spanish folks. The first time saw him down in the lower bracket. He now needs to prove in a rematch against Lucifron that he's learned from the errors and can find the way to victory. But he will at least get that shot at a third title here in 2025.
Now, MarineLorD looking good. That's the thing. MarineLorD's always looking good. Maybe with the Lucifron game, that was his warm-up. But tomorrow, if he does take down Lucifron here from the loser bracket side, he still has another best of 5 to do. So Lucifron, he can prepare for this fully, and he's got his brother to do so. With all of these replays available, I feel like Lucifron was able to sit here, watch every move that MarineLorD was going to be able to make, and now he's probably going to need to prepare himself fully, because MarineLorD doesn't look like he's ready to give this up just yet.
No, sorry, MarineLorD. I mean, it's hard to say if improved overall compared to the first series of the day, because we have to remember that Lucifron, he was able to 3-1 his bro. So, you know, kind of similar outcome of results here. Obviously different length of series. Really, Lucifron remains, in my mind, in my eyes, the big, scary monster at the end of the level to beat. VortiX, bless it, I don't know what you mind me saying, kind of in this role, in this story, the sidekick to that grand villain that is Lucifron. So, you know, MarineLorD, I'm not gonna say underdog, but you know, you heard it from him earlier in practice. They were like in the expectations, like 51-49. So tomorrow's series, hopefully 9 games, could go either way. And as much as I would have loved to have seen a VortiX Lucifron showdown, at least this guarantees a Sunday broadcast longer than about an hour and 30 minutes.
I was emotionally ready to get the VortiX Lucifron face-off and just enjoy a lot of action. But honestly, I think MarineLorD could see that the way that he played this against Lucifron, maybe that strategy will not be working again. So probably going to be changing up that style and trying to do the things that's true to him. The problem is MarineLorD can do anything. And I think that's what we're all prepared for. Lucifron, he used to be also known as an aggressive player, but at the same time, we saw what he's capable of. First match today, I feel like today's match between MarineLorD and Lucifron just tells us exactly we are going to be in for the best show. And I believe that we have some pretty good talent there on the desk to carry us through it. So you guys can bet your butts that we're going to be sitting here watching that up close.
It's going to be an exciting one, and hopefully one that truly delivers the full distance, the breadth that we've come to expect. And after what we saw today between Lucifron and MarineLorD, you know, I expect a rematch to bare minimum get 7 games. I'd be shocked if it's less than that. But, I mean, commiserations to VortiX, you know, a great effort here. It's never easy to beat MarineLorD, and he started off the day so well, like very, very clean victory, 3-0. But, you know, we talked about, I think the draft played a role here where MarineLorD's draft did just feel a lot more ironclad. VortiX had some twists and turns and impressed us for sure. That Japanese-French game, to me, is the most memorable one of this series, unless you want to rant about how broken Lancaster is. That's the one you go to. You know, so he at least gets a notch on the belt there. But back to the drawing board. For now, though, back to interviewing MarineLorD. I feel like it happens way too often. MarineLorD, congratulations on the victory over VortiX. It's been an interesting journey for you today. You know, going in today, I want to talk about the start, right? We can get to the good stuff where you feel good, but we've got to start with the Lucifron series. Expectations going into that, how it went from your perspective, you know, what happened in the upper bracket finals?
I mean, I think overall the draft didn't go too well for me. Okay, like when we draft before the best of 7, I felt like it was good for me. But I knew like if the matchup didn't line up as I wanted, it could be very hard. But it's pretty much always like that in best of 7 or best of 9. Same for here against VortiX. Like I got good matchups to start with, and it helps a lot for the future, obviously. But yeah, against Lucifron, I mean, okay, game 1 I think it was fine, but I misplayed a little bit, and he plays very well, so if you just make one mistake, you die. And I think the spawn was not the best for my strategy, which is my mistake too, right? Because I have to adapt to the spawn a bit better sometimes. Game 2 was ridiculous. It was deadly against China. So like you just... I mean, it's pretty sad, right? But it like nobody can do anything about it. But right now, if you lose against China or Awesome Flankcaster, it's a bit crazy. You really cannot do anything against those thieves. The economy is just way better from start to finish, and you really don't have any solution. So even though I think it's the game he played the worst, the China Delhi, he still won it. Water, I felt pretty good against him, but it was still very, very hard. Very competitive. And then what was it? I lost Byzantine Mongols, which was also a very good snipe from him, I think. That's basically not the matchup I wanted.
On Frisian with Ottoman's HRE. But,
yeah, and same for Ottoman HRE. Actually, I didn't want this matchup, but I decided to swap a bit my civilization around to get Byzantine and Altai. But I really didn't expect him to go Mongols there, which really caught me, and then it's pretty hard. Because right, like I lost 4-2, but I still had Lancaster left. So like, you can kind of say I would have won the last game pretty much. And then it's just a question of like 1 or 2 close games, which didn't go my way, because he played better.
And so is that the big change up in your mind between Lucifron versus you and VortiX versus you? Is the draft more than anything?
Also, I think before starting, I was looking at Lucifron in a different way, because like I pretty much have a pack, right? The package is VortiX Lucifron, and to me they play kind of the same way, but I don't think that's as true as before. So I think I have to adapt a bit better to Lucifron's playstyle. And in my head I was just like, yeah, it's gonna be like VortiX. He's gonna go very aggressive all the time, and I'm just gonna have to hold. And then last game I scout pretty well, and then he has 4 dogs in the corner of the map, and I'm dead. But I already realized I was dead just at the end of the game, not before, because I really didn't realize how early he docked. But yeah, we can make adjustment, and I think it will go better tomorrow.
Okay, and let's like dissect that French versus Japan game here. You know, like it seems Spaniards have your number on Coastal Cliffs, but was that a complete surprise? I mean, download morespears.com. It looked like you wanted that huge fight outside of your base.
I mean, at first I didn't really want to go French there, but looking at the rest of my drafts, I was happy about getting all the following matchup. So like the last 3 matchups, I was happy about it if I sent French on this map. French-Japanese is fine, but if he gets a very good spawn, I just have no chance, like 0% chance pretty much. Because French strength is in feudal, and if you force me to go into castle, then I can maybe try a fast castle too, but it's just not in the strength of my sieve, so I'm just gonna die. So I think I outplayed him pretty good this game, and I still lost. And same for him in the last game. He had a worse matchup. I feel like he played better than me, and I won because of the matchup too.
Now, there's a certain matchup here that I know you want to talk about. It's not really the matchup, it's the Civ. Talk to me about Lancaster, because this seems to be, and we've heard it from other players, like it's on China level of power right now in their eyes.
I think for the future, I mean, it's the last tournament before the DLC, pretty much. But I think in the future we should just have more vetoes just from the start. I think you remove like 3 or 4 thieves from the start, and then you make us fully pick, I guess. Or you can have 1 more veto later on if you play best of 5 maybe. But I feel like right now it's just like we have 3 thieves in the game that are literally unbeatable in theory, and you really don't want to play against them, which is Templar on water, and then also Flankcaster China, obviously. Everything else is obviously like you have so many strong thieves like Byzantine, Rus, but they all have like bad matchups here and there. Like you can have Delhi against Rus, you can have French against Byzantine, which is pretty good. And like you have so many ways to win the game, even against Malians or Japanese. But against Lancaster and China, there is nothing to do. So obviously, I know it's not really easy to balance some civs, especially China, because it's not really good at low level. But I think they have to do something about their feudal economy. Maybe just nerf the landmark that gives cheaper IO, I guess. But even if you do that, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. Because maybe they nerf Pro Scout again, because Pro Scout is still very meta. Maybe they won't nerf it and then they just nerf China. But yeah, China is not easy, and House of Lancaster is just very easy to nerf. It's totally broken, and hopefully when something is that broken into the game, they should just hotfix it. But that's not really possible right now, so it is what it is.
It's what it is, and I mean, I agree. Like, I think when we have the new civs added, that new kind of banner phase you talked about becomes a bit more feasible to get into. But you know, this is. I was saying, you've been, I think, humble at times about like the level, the caliber of skill, right? Like, I mean, you kind of have to. You're a 50-50 for S tier tournaments, which I mean is not bad. That's incredible. But you know, going in this one, especially after the Luciferon series, you know, how are you feeling about your odds of actually taking the title compared to the 2 victories previously? Like, is this the hardest one for you to do?
No, I would say it's pretty much the same. Like, it's as hard as against Louis in the last best of 9. I think it's a lot about getting the right matchups and right knowledge of the matchup and not making key mistakes. Because in best of 7, in best of 9, you really don't have many games where you can shine. It's gonna be like 2 or 3 civs win pretty much on each side, and then it's gonna be like a best of 3 or best of 4 or 5 kinda. And in this kind of situation, you really have to win the key games. And it was pretty much like that against Louis too, I felt, in the last final, where I think we had 3 matchup extremely favorable in each side. So it was 3-3. And then in the skilled matchup, I lost 2-1. And I felt like it was the problem. So hopefully tomorrow we don't get any terrible drafts. And it goes close. But I think it in skill is pretty close. Even on water, even if I won 2-0 today, and then VortiX vetoed one water map, which I was surprised. I feel like it should be close on water. But obviously they have a very different style. It's very hit or miss to go mass demo like that. And if I play perfectly, which I didn't today, I think my style is better, but it's really, really hard to do, I think.
Oh, well, we'll have to see if you're able to execute.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, congratulations the win. Excited for it. And thank you. I mean, we joked with VortiX about it. You may have saved us from the shortest finals day the EGC would have ever had. Because we know how those lads like to speed run the series. So, hey, you've earned some rest. Go rest up. We'll see you tomorrow in action in the grand finals against Luciferon. Congrats again on the win.
Bye-bye. See you.